Chapter 5179. The Broken Land was indeed quite dangerous. From time to time, some eternal figures would appear. These eternal figures were quite strong. They just stood there and could see through you with a single glance. All secrets were no longer secret. Fortunately, these figures didn't really attack. Unless you accidentally touched them, you basically wouldn't be in any danger. However, most people really couldn't handle the eternal aura. Lin Fei was different now. He had just refined the celestial bloodline and his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. Especially his physical body, which directly reached the true eternal level. Now, even if Lin Fei didn't use the reincarnation original god, his punches would be able to explode with eternal level combat power. With such a huge improvement, one could imagine how strong this celestial bloodline was. Unfortunately, there was only one such bloodline. Otherwise, if these reincarnated primordial spirits cultivated a strong physical body, they would really be invincible. Lin Fei had an idea. No matter what, he had to get some strong bloodlines for his reincarnated primordial spirit to cultivate. The Broken Land should be a good place. They walked in. The number of eternal figures increased as well. Some of them were fragmented, while others were complete. There were even some that belonged to native experts. Roman Ku also explained to Lin Fei one by one, so that Lin Fei would have a better understanding of these things. There was a loud rumbling sound. It came from the front. When they heard this sound, both Lin Fei and Romank came to their senses. The final place was in front. After reaching this region, it wasn't as easy as before. From time to time, they would bump into some tricks. These tricks were illusory, and if they weren't careful, they would bump into them. You guys walk slowly behind me. I will go take a look first. Lin Fei's figure moved forward. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared. Romank really couldn't keep up. He chased for a while but was shaken off in an instant. He had to admit that this black-robed young man was much stronger than he had imagined. There were some problems along the way, but they were all easily broken. He walked all the way to the end. There was a huge palace inside. The palace was also a little shabby, but the shock waves from the battle here were the strongest and most intense. Without a doubt, this was where they had fought. Just as he rushed to the entrance of the palace, a formation appeared. 2 fire dragons spun left and right and a huge bell came down. Good heavens, he actually set up a trap here. If I'm not careful, I'll really suffer a great loss. The fire dragon slammed into Lin Fei's body. However, it couldn't do anything to Lin Fei. Lin Fei sent out a palm strike. The huge bell flew back to where it came from. Then, a buzzing sound could be heard as the space in the area collapsed. Some of the eternal techniques were shaken. A dazzling light burst forth. Lin Fei rushed into the palace in an instant. At this moment, the palace was extremely lively. 2 groups of people were fighting. One of them was God Lord Swampwood. Lin Fei knew God Lord Zhe Mu the best. He didn't really know the other 2, but there were a few other fierce existences besides them. All of them were 10-star existences. No wonder they dared to set their sights on this place. Aside from God Lord Zhe Mu's group, the other group was made up of local experts. They were quite strong, and they had a formidable lineup of 10-some people. The 10-some people didn't seem to be in a good situation. Even farther away, Lin Fei sensed a powerful immortal aura. Not far away, there was a corpse that had already passed away, and behind it was a large fragment. This fragment seemed to be a door. Lin Fei immediately had an impression of what it was. Could this be the legendary Gate of Immortality fragment? No wonder he sensed a powerful aura on his way in. If his guess was right, it should be the aura of the Gate of Immortality fragment. If he could gather enough Gate of Immortality fragments, wouldn't he be able to enter another great world? But the Gate of Immortality didn't seem that easy to deal with. As soon as Lin Fei entered, the gazes of the 2 groups fell on him. An ice god dragon swept over and instantly enveloped Lin Fei. It turned out that the local experts had taken action. Chapter 5180. Such a person had appeared. The natives on their side naturally had their own thoughts. Thus, they immediately attacked. An ice god dragon came and coiled around Lin Fei's body. With this coiling, Lin Fei was instantly sealed in ice. This move was quite powerful. Not just anyone could withstand it. Even the native experts didn't care. He was just a human brat, so they didn't think much of him. But in the blink of an eye, the ice shards on his body shattered. The young man walked out and smiled at everyone. He smiled at everyone and said, "I don't think I'm interrupting everyone's battle." The native expert who attacked just now was slightly taken aback. His methods were very strong, especially his ice method, which directly seeped into one's body. It was not something that anyone could withstand, let alone a human brat. But this human brat was able to withstand it so quickly. This was indeed out of their expectations, but in the blink of an eye, his expression changed a little. He felt that this young man didn't have any aura directed at them. Even the native experts behind them could feel it. It was as if this person was born to be on their side. This was an extremely absurd feeling. Everyone looked at each other. They all felt the same. Strange, why doesn't this person have any hostility toward us? Moreover, I seem to have a pretty good impression of him. You feel the same way? Actually, I feel the same way. This young man is really different. Could he be on our side? That's possible. In any case, this guy should have some strength. If he can even block the ice god dragon, he shouldn't be too weak. At the start, they really did believe that Lin Fei had come to help them. They immediately attacked, but it seemed that this wasn't the case at all. On the other hand, God Lord Zhe Mu was surprised. He realized that a human brat had come here. This was different. At the start, he thought that this person was a slave, but at a glance, he felt that something was wrong. Behind him, one figure after another walked out. After these figures walked out, God Lord Zhe Mu and the other two powerful lords all grimaced. He recognized it the first time. For example, God Lord Futu. There were other divine masters as well. Weren't they all on their side? But why were they all standing behind this kid? For a moment they felt that something was amiss. Who are you? Why are they all behind you? Hurry up and tell me, or I'll cripple you first. The most irritable was probably God Lord Wind Dragon. This was a tall and sturdy fellow. His entire body was covered in a layer of scales, making him look very different. He was the one with the strongest defense among the three of them. At this moment, he glared at them fiercely. The other snorted coldly. "And you guys, you're all standing behind this youngster. Hurry up and get over here. You guys came just in time to help us restrain these guys. When the time comes to attack, we'll split the benefits together." They had indeed felt the pressure along the way. The resistance of the natives was quite strong. Moreover, this was the Broken Lands. Therefore, it was natural for them to feel different when they saw this batch of people. They hoped that they could restrain them. This way, they would have a chance to deal with the stronger existences. But their words were of no use. These people stood behind Lin Fei and didn't move at all. They just calmly stood there. It was as if they hadn't heard anything. This made the three of them feel their hearts skip a beat. They couldn't just say that this black-robed youngster had taken down all these people. Or perhaps he had used some sort of method to control them. If that was the case, this matter was going to be rather troublesome. Could it be that the original battle between two tigers was going to turn into a battle between three countries? This was definitely the last thing they wanted to see. Stop shouting. These people are already standing behind me. I came this time to see just what's different about the Broken Lands. It seems like it's really quite interesting. Lin Fei smiled. Of course, you can also treat me as a passerby. I'm just here to watch the show. I really have no interest in what you're fighting over. Chapter 5181. So he came in to take a look. However, this made God Lord Swampwood and the others very irritable. How was this just passing by? This was just charging in, all right? They had spent so much effort to get to the Broken Lands, but now they were being held back by these native experts. In the end, this guy just came in and said that he was just passing by. Passing by shouldn't be called passing by. Did he really think that they were 3-year-old kids? On the other hand, the native powerhouses were a little surprised. They felt that this guy was really just passing by. He didn't seem to be very interested in the treasures of the Broken Lands. He was only here for the 3 of them. And the people behind them. They were very sure of this. It was also very real. This young man had definitely come for them. Thus, they inexplicably heaved a sigh of relief. The leader of this group was a native expert of the god Master Laksh realm, and he was extremely strong. He was extremely powerful and could display the battle prowess of a 10-star expert. He smiled at the black-robed youngster. "We welcome anyone here. As long as they are peaceful people, we will welcome them. However, we don't like them. I hope that when we have time, we can sit down and have a cup of tea to chat and exchange our cultivation experiences." This god Lord Rakesh's words were filled with kindness. This caused the expressions of god Lord Zhe-Mu and the others to turn ugly. Was he trying to rope them in? The native experts were already hard enough to deal with, but now there was this black-robed youngster and these people behind them. Immediately they felt a great deal of pressure. What should we do? This kid is clearly here for the treasures. Why don't we make the first move and take them down first? Taking them down isn't difficult. We just need to attack that youngster. This guy definitely isn't that strong. The 3 of us should be able to take him down. After taking him down, we can interrogate him and find out what's going on. Why are these people following them? Maybe he has some other tricks up his sleeve. The 3 of them were experienced and knowledgeable people. They immediately understood that the people behind them were definitely being controlled. If the method of control was extremely powerful, they wouldn't be in such a sorry state right now. Therefore, their conviction became incomparably firm. "I'm guessing that the 3 of you must be preparing to deal with me in secret. Truth be told, I'm indeed here for you. Treasures are secondary. I just want to ask you one thing. Do you want to pledge your allegiance to me? If you pledge your allegiance to me, you'll suffer less. Otherwise, you'll suffer greatly later." After signing in here to obtain the immortal bloodline, Lin Fei's body had already reached the eternal realm. The combat power that erupted from them was naturally incomparably terrifying. These 3 monstrous beasts were indeed very powerful. They were much stronger than Samsara and the others. Such people were indeed the most suitable to be the vanguard of the main force. Naturally, he did not want to waste them like this. Naturally, he had to take them down. Taking them down also depended on whether they would do it themselves or allow themselves to be captured. Lin Fei had given the 2 of them the right choice. The 3 of them had goosebumps in their hearts. They knew that this black-robed young man didn't have any good intentions. He actually came for them. Could he be the young master of some big family? Did he really need these monstrous beasts to act as the vanguard? After all, they had seen too many things, so they immediately made the connection. Their hearts instantly turned cold. Soon, they calmed down. After all, the 3 of them were extremely strong. They weren't afraid of this guy in front of them. Did he really think that he could capture them with so many people? He was definitely underestimating them. If everyone had the same thoughts as this black-robed young man, they would have been captured long ago. They wouldn't be able to roam freely like they were now. On the other hand, Divine Lord Rakesh also heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that this black-robed young man was really here for the 3 of them. As long as these 3 people were gone, they could be considered to have completely solved their problem this time. Who would have thought that these 3 powerful existences would have some powerful treasures that could actually suppress them? They wouldn't be able to gain the upper hand at all. In the end, it would only become a tug-of-war. You're thinking too much. If you want the 3 of us to pledge our allegiance to you, then show us your strength first. At this moment, the 3 of them directly made their move. The 3 treasures attacked. The 3 treasures were actually a set. One could freeze space, one could freeze time, and the last one could unleash a super strong attack for an instant. Everything was done in one go. Chapter 5182. The 3 of them were quite smart. They knew that if they didn't take down this mysterious black-robed young man, they would have to suffer. If that happened, they would have to suffer. It was quite normal for them to think this way. Therefore, they didn't make a move. Instead, they took out their trump card. No one knew that the 3 of them had a set of treasures. This set of treasures could be used by the 3 of them at the same time. Once it was used, it could erupt with superpower. Divine Lord Samsara Buddha and the others had never seen it before. However, they had vaguely heard of it. No one had ever been able to fight against the 3 of them. They had always been in their control. They had always felt that it was quite strange because back then, there was one who was the strongest. Back then, there was one person who was stronger than the 3 of them and tried to unite them. In the end, that person was killed when he tried to fight against the 3 of them. As for how he was killed, no one knew. In any case, that person never returned. This caused a huge sensation in their circle. No one had expected that such a powerful person would be killed. The 3 of them were quite different from each other. Moreover, they were facing such a powerful existence. However, these 3 people who didn't seem to be united actually managed to kill that powerhouse. As a result, everyone was filled with all kinds of doubts and speculations. They never got a proper explanation for this. Today, they finally realized that the 3 of them had a set of treasures. One could freeze time, one could freeze space, and one could unleash a huge attack. In this way, even a top powerhouse might not be able to withstand it. After all, it was a 10-star treasure. The power it could erupt with was estimated to be half a step into the eternal realm. It was truly a fierce mess. Divine Lord Rakesh and the others also heaved a sigh of relief. They had indeed been guarding against them before, but they had never imagined that these 3 fellows would have such a trick up their sleeves. Once this trick was unleashed, not just anyone would be able to withstand it. This move could seriously injure them or even kill them. Do you think the 3 of us are so easy to deal with? The 3 of us have always been one. It's just that no one knows it. Since you want to provoke us today, we'll fulfill your wish. After taking you down, the people behind you will naturally fall into our control. We have to thank you for sending us such a gift. You should be proud of the fact that the 3 of us are working together. No one has ever been able to stop the 3 of us. This was the most powerful technique the 3 of them had. It was also a set of treasures they obtained when they broke into a mystic realm. This set of treasures was infinitely close to the eternal grade. This set of treasures had to be used by 3 people in order to display the power of a half-step eternal realm expert. And this power was very strong. It could kill a 10-star expert. Back when that 10-star expert had come to look for them, he had never thought that they would have such a set of treasures. With the combined power of these 3 treasures, they were able to directly kill this expert, allowing them to secure their positions even more firmly. However, they rarely used this set of treasures because it consumed too much energy. Although they were strong, they had never truly been able to fully utilize it. They wouldn't use it unless it was necessary. They had originally planned to use it to deal with the native god Master Rakesh, but now they were using it ahead of time. They would deal with this young black-robed man first. In their imagination, this young black-robed man should be quite powerful. They absolutely could not let such a person attack them. Once they did, they would be the unlucky ones. Therefore, the saying that the first to strike gains the upper hand, and the last to strike suffers was quite accurate. They saw the young man smile. The smile was very relaxed. Then, their powerful attacks landed on the young man's body, causing a loud rumbling sound. Not everyone could withstand it because they couldn't use any treasures or techniques at all. They could only choose to take it head-on. As a result, they were most likely killed in one move. However, after this move hit the young man's body, there was no sign of it shattering. On the contrary, The young man was still looking at them with the same smile as before. There was no change in space or time, and the young man was the same. There was no change. The attack power is really not bad. It is definitely the strongest killer move. It is more than enough to kill off a 10-star powerhouse. However, it is still not enough to deal with me. I have to thank you for giving me this set of treasures, Jiang Chen said with a smile. Chapter 5183. Lin Fei was really surprised and pleasantly surprised. These three guys really knew how to give people a big surprise. They actually had such a set of treasures. This set of treasures was really different. At the very least, its power was really strong. It could erupt with the battle prowess of a half-step Eternal Realm expert. This kind of battle prowess could really deal with anyone. It was no wonder that the three of them could rule so many demon beasts. At first glance, Lin Fei didn't think that they were that strong. In the past, he would have been able to deal with such a guy, but now he knew that they had a trump card in their hands. Each of them had a treasure, and the three treasures combined into a set of treasures. Moreover, it was a half-step Eternal Realm treasure. The power it exerted was really powerful and invincible. If it weren't for his body directly reaching the Eternal Realm, he would have suffered serious injuries just now. And this was under the situation where his body was relatively strong. If it were anyone else here, they would have died without a doubt. This was their strongest killer move. This powerful killer move was useless against Lin Fei. Instead, he found a good thing. If this thing fell into his hands, it would be equivalent to having a powerful attack. He might not have many things, but he had a lot of essence spirits. His essence spirits still lacked some treasures. If he had these three treasures in his hands, the three Samsara primordial gods would be able to erupt with the power of a half-step Eternal Realm expert. In the future, even if he didn't use it, he could still give it to others. Such a treasure was indeed quite good. Lin Fei could guess that this treasure had probably been used by an Essence Soul powerhouse in the past. Only an Essence Soul expert could exert it. After all, the three of them were not as one. So even if they could exert it, its power would be much weaker than that of an ordinary Essence Soul expert. It's okay. This is impossible. You're not an eternal expert. God Lord Zhe Mu exclaimed. The other two were the same. They immediately realized that something was wrong. So the three of them controlled the treasures again. He immediately unleashed his strongest attack, and a beam of light swept over. The stream of light directly penetrated the void, time, and space. The three of them forcibly launched another move. At this time, no one knew better than them. If they did not severely injure this black-robed young man, the three of them would be the ones to suffer. Unfortunately, this move consumed about 2/3 of their strength, but they still could not penetrate the opponent's body. The opponent's body was like a thick mountain, and they could not penetrate it at all. It was directly blocked. They also realized that this guy's fleshly body had most likely reached the legendary Eternal Realm. Otherwise, even the physical body of a 10-star powerhouse would not be able to withstand their attack. For a moment, the three of them panicked. They actually encountered an eternal-level existence. The other party didn't seem to have erupted with an eternal-level aura, but such a person could definitely display eternal-level combat power. Such a person wasn't someone they could defeat at all. Your strongest moves are useless against me. Now it's my turn. Just like that, a hand stretched out. As soon as this hand stretched out, it transformed into a world of its own. The three of them seemed to have fallen into this world. No matter how hard they struggled, it was useless. Following that, the palm became smaller and smaller. They had fallen into his hands. When the 5 fingers closed, it was like a prison of heaven and earth. It trapped them so tightly that they didn't even have the strength to struggle. You guys only have this little strength, and you still have the nerve to fight with me? I already asked you to make a choice in the beginning. Unfortunately, you didn't listen. You deserve to suffer a little. They clapped their palms together, and with a loud rumbling sound, cracks appeared on their powerful bodies. Their vitality declined, and they were seriously injured on the spot. Even the three treasures came out and sat in front of Lin Fei. They could feel this powerful force. It was definitely an eternal level power. It was truly terrifying. They hurriedly begged for mercy. "Senior, please spare our lives. We didn't know it just now. Please spare our lives. We are willing to surrender." Even if Lin Fei gently clasped his hands together, he could make them experience the meaning of despair, fear, and apprehension. Chapter 5184. God Lord Luxure and the others watched as the three experts who had attacked them fell into the other party's hands. They were given a huge fright. They also realized that the black-robed youth in front of them was a legendary eternal expert. Even if he hadn't reached this level, he could still use the corresponding technique. Such a person was already above their head. Fortunately, this person didn't seem interested in them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to hold on. God Lord Luxure breathed a sigh of relief. As for the native expert who had attacked just now, he broke out in a cold sweat. He had thought that this fellow wasn't very strong, so he had thrown an ice dragon at him. It turned out that the other party was even stronger. No wonder his ice dragon had been useless. The other party's physical body was definitely extremely powerful. Even the techniques used by the three experts couldn't break through the other party's defenses. From this, it could be seen that the other party was extremely powerful. Lin Fei had truly experienced the strength of an eternal god body. He had captured 3 people in one move. They weren't even on the same level at all. In other words, if Lin Fei wanted to kill them, he could kill them 100 times over with a single thought. This was the difference in strength. Crash! Crash! The 3 fell to the ground, their hearts filled with even more bitterness. They hadn't expected to encounter such a powerful existence one day. Of course, they were even more glad that they had survived. With a wave of his hand, 3 seals landed on their foreheads. Just like that, they were in control. God Lord Samsara and the others had their horizons broadened. They knew that their lord was very powerful, but only now did they realize that he could erupt with the power of an eternal expert. This was definitely a golden thigh that they had to hug tightly. Fortunately, God Lord Zhe Mu and the others were the last to arrive. In terms of status, they were definitely inferior to them. Although they were strong, after being taught a lesson by their lord, they were still behind them. For a moment they felt quite pleased with themselves. So what if they were strong? Weren't they just obediently being held in the hands of their lord? They might as well learn from them and obediently choose to submit. How good would that be? They could even leave a good impression. Obediently stand at the back and don't make a sound. God Lord Swamp and the other 2 naturally didn't dare to say anything and obediently stood at the back. He also knew that he had made the wrong choice previously. If he had known that this fellow was so strong, he would have obediently chosen to submit to him. An eternal expert. Once he said that, how could they not be obedient? Now, he had suffered greatly and his freedom had been snatched away. If he had known that this would happen, he would have rather given such a treasure to leave a good impression. Lin Fei looked at the native experts in front of him. These people invaded this universe, and I've basically taken them all down. Just call the rest back, and peace will be restored in your world. I think you guys should have no objections, right? Lin Fei smiled. God Lord Rakesh shook his head repeatedly. How could they have any objections? In any case, you are an eternal powerhouse. Their universe really didn't have an eternal powerhouse. Although there were many 10-star powerhouses, it wasn't too difficult for them to reach this stage. This was the foundation of a world. A world with a strong foundation could naturally be born, while a world with a weak foundation could not be born. If not for the war between the immortals back then, their world would still be very powerful and wouldn't have cared about these outer realm invaders. Fortunately, they managed to solve the problem perfectly this time, which was a pleasant surprise. No objections, no objections. We still have to thank you for helping us. At the very least, you ended the chaos in our world. God Lord Lakeshore respectfully said. A loud rumbling sound suddenly came from afar. The commotion was so loud that everyone could hear it clearly. God Lord Rakesh was the one who felt it the most. He felt that an outer realm powerhouse had once again entered this world, and they had even come to the outside of the broken land. Could it be Senior's people? Logically speaking, it shouldn't be possible. Lin Fei also sensed it. There were indeed several figures rapidly moving in this direction. They were extremely fast, as if they had a map and they were taking a shortcut. It wasn't the winding path he had taken before. Chapter 5185. Someone else had come. He originally thought that it was quite normal for someone from the outer realm to come. He didn't expect that someone else would come down at this time, and an extremely strong one at that. Although God Lord Zemu and the others were very strong, they were still quite a bit lacking compared to this person. God Lord Rakesh sensed this as well. He had just heaved a sigh of relief, but now, he sensed another powerful aura. Even though it wasn't close yet, it made their hearts tremble. It seemed that this person was much stronger than they had imagined. Senior, is this person also one of your people? It seems that he's also quite strong. He's been able to overcome many obstacles on his way here, and he's walking a different path. His first impression was the strongest. After all, not just anyone could barge into this place. Since a senior had come here, there would probably be others like the senior who had come here. Naturally, he would treat them as if they were on the same side. Lin Fei chuckled. Then you're overthinking things. This person is definitely not my friend. He's definitely here for the thing inside. If I'm not wrong, he's here for that thing. Lin Fei looked at the giant fragment not far away. Besides this thing, Lin Fei didn't think that there was anything else that would catch the eye of anyone else. This person was definitely not someone from this world, but an expert from the outer realm. The commotion just now was extremely huge. Lin Fei could already sense it. God Lord Rakesh's expression instantly changed. This situation was completely different from what he had imagined. This thing is useless. It's a fragment, and it's extremely heavy. I heard that only those who have reached the eternal realm can carry it, or rather, they need a certain treasure to do so. God Lord Rakesh more or less knew the origin of this fragment. Back then, countless people had tried to take this fragment back, but none of them had been able to do so. Thus, after a long time, no one had any interest in it. But now, God Lord Rakesh didn't dare to believe that someone had set their eyes on it. Whoosh! A few figures dashed in. These few figures rushed in. Their bodies were shining with divine light, and they were dazzling with starlight. Behind them, an illusory figure appeared. This was definitely a huge commotion, and God Lord Rakesh and the others immediately felt pressured. This was definitely someone from the upper echelons. Looks like I'm not too late. There's no point in you guys fighting each other. I've taken a liking to this thing. I don't think any of you have any objections, right? If anyone has any objections, feel free to come out and tell me. I'm quite an easygoing person. This was a white-haired young man. He was just standing there casually, and his whole body was shining with starlight, exuding an incomparably powerful aura. His gaze swept across the crowd and landed on the large shard of the door. He didn't take the people present seriously. This was definitely an expert. God Lord Rakesh could sense it as well. This person didn't seem to be as strong as the senior in front of him, because the senior just stood there. This time, he was no different from an ordinary person. On the other hand, God Lord Swampwood and the others were trembling in fear. They were already injured just now. Now that they were facing such a young man, it made them realize what it meant to waste all their cultivation. This thing has always been here. Not just anyone can take it. God Lord Rakesh naturally wouldn't offend such a person, so he had to remind him no matter what. As soon as he finished speaking, a large palm appeared and pressed against his body. God Lord Rakesh couldn't withstand it at all and was directly sent flying. The person behind him immediately caught him. However, as soon as he was caught, another wave of force burst forth, following which the people behind him were also sent flying. The white-haired young man said indifferently, "I can naturally take away something that I've taken a liking to. There's no need for you to speak so much nonsense. It seems like you have a problem with me." Domineering. Incomparably domineering. With just a single move, God Lord Rakesh and the others were all injured. Lin Fei's eyes narrowed slightly. This fellow was quite capable. His earlier attack contained a trace of the Eternal Realm's aura. Indeed, he was someone from the outside world. And he even had his eyes on this thing. If Lin Fei's guess was correct, this guy should know the origin of this thing, and it was very likely that he knew how to use it. It seems like no one has any objections. That thing belongs to me now. A large hand reached out. The starlight in the sky gathered together and grabbed onto the stargate. Chapter 5186. This white-haired young man did not take them seriously at all. His attack just now had shocked everyone. No one dared to speak rashly anymore. God Master Lakeshore was already injured. The people on their side all followed God Master Lakeshi's lead. Since he was injured now, they naturally wouldn't say anything. Moreover, most of them were injured as well. Lin Fei's side was even simpler. If Lin Fei didn't speak, they wouldn't speak either. They were all well-behaved now. Their lord was so strong, let alone this white-haired young man. Of course, no matter how strong this white-haired young man was, he wasn't as strong as their lord. They were very knowledgeable. The white-haired young man waved his hand and grabbed the shard door. This grab felt extremely heavy, and he actually couldn't lift it up right away. However, the starlight on his body continued to explode, and he slowly lifted it up. It floated in the air. He was extremely strong. Lin Fei saw it clearly from the side. As expected from a shard that ordinary experts couldn't lift. This was definitely a good item. However, this person was one step ahead of him. It didn't matter though. This would let him know that this shard wasn't simple. This fellow's strength was also very formidable. He actually possessed the eternal aura. Although the eternal aura within his body wasn't much, this fellow was definitely a level stronger than them. He was just below Lin Fei. Lin Fei had an eternal god body now, so he was naturally different. You helped me take it out. Now you can hand it to me. When the shard was in midair, a hand reached out. This hand was really simple and ordinary. It grabbed the shard. However, the weight of the shard was transferred over. At the same time, the starlight in the sky turned into a cold light. It slashed down. You dare to take my item? You really don't know what's good for you. The white-haired young man was a little angry. There was actually someone who dared to fight with him at this moment. At the same time, he noticed the black-robed young man not far away. She had noticed him from the start. She felt that this black-robed young man wasn't simple. However, after checking him out, he didn't seem as strong as she thought. She didn't pay much attention to him. He had never imagined that this fellow would actually dare to make a move and even dare to fight with him for the fragment. He simply didn't know what was good for him. With his other hand he sent out a palm strike. The starlight that filled the sky turned into a meteor shower that came crashing down. His methods were extremely terrifying. These meteor showers contained traces of eternal energy. Even Buddha Lord and the others felt immense pressure. They couldn't withstand it at all. You really do have some ability. No wonder you dared to come here. However, I saw this fragment first, so you can only stand aside. Who asked you to be weaker than me? I just so happened to have something to ask you. Who asked you to come at such a good time? Lin Fei gently slapped out with his palm. As if he was slapping something away, all the meteors flew back. It smashed beside the white-haired young man. The white-haired young man was caught off guard. The power of these meteors was quite strong. A suit of armor immediately appeared on the other party's body, wrapping him up tightly. He blocked all the attacks one by one. So you're still hiding your strength. You're quite strong. However, your strength can't compare to mine. You'll never know how strong I am." The white-haired young man waved his hand, and the fragment came crashing down. The ground moved along with it. "Now I'll let you know what true strength is. I'll let you know that there's always someone better out there." A huge figure walked out of the starlight world behind him. When this figure walked out, everyone felt as if they had fallen into a world of starlight. This figure actually slashed down with a saber. It was like a meteor streaking across the sky without a trace. This saber was much stronger than the previous one. It contained the aura of spacetime. In an instant, it arrived in front of Lin Fei. It was extremely fast and ruthless. In other words, this kind of figure had a huge advantage in terms of speed. When the first saber slashed down, the second followed closely, forming a chain of attack. It was no wonder that ordinary people couldn't withstand this saber. It was truly ferocious. Chapter 5187. The strength of the figure was simply too strong. It was simply unstoppable. At the very least, in the eyes of Divine Lord Zhe Mu and the others, this young man from the outside world was unbelievably strong. Every single one of his attacks had the combat strength of a 10-star expert. Moreover, he had precise control over his strength. His attacks were even more powerful. If they were to encounter them, they would probably be killed by these powerful forces in the blink of an eye. Seeing this, they were terrified. They didn't know if the person in front of them would be able to withstand it. However, at the very least, the person who attacked just now definitely didn't have good intentions. For example, Divine Lord Rakesh was injured because he said something wrong, let alone these people. Not to mention these people, so in their hearts, they still hoped that this young man could win. As long as the black-robed young man won, it wouldn't be too dangerous for their world. However, it would be a different story if someone else won. They were also people who knew some information. From time to time, some powerful forces would invade other worlds. They were the strongest among them. If even the black-robed young man couldn't stop this person, it was easy to imagine what would happen to them. Therefore, they really hoped that the black-robed young man would win. Sensing the powerful stance of this young man, they were still somewhat worried. They were afraid that the chances of him winning weren't very high. The person who attacked, Huang Tianan, also didn't take these people seriously. His eyes were fixed on the Stargate. This was the thing he wanted the most. He didn't expect to find it in the Broken Land. However, these people didn't treat this thing as a treasure, which made him heave a sigh of relief. If this thing was treated as a treasure, it wouldn't be easy to take it. However, as long as he could intimidate these people, everything would be fine. Whether this thing was good or not, only he himself knew best in his heart. It wouldn't be a big deal for others to take it, but it was different for him. There was a loud rumbling sound. This figure kept attacking, slash after slash. His moves were incomparably overbearing. It would be very difficult for others to block it. However, as he attacked, he realized that this young man seemed to be stronger than him. He was actually able to block it. The other party's blocking was different from what he had imagined. He didn't use any offensive methods. He relied purely on his body's defensive power to block the attack. He didn't even have any other methods. A hint of surprise appeared on Huang Tianan's face. He never thought that he would meet such a powerful fellow in such a small place. Lin Fei also felt that this guy must have come from somewhere else, and was definitely an expert among experts. This attack was extremely terrifying. If not for the fact that he had already refined a portion of the immortal bloodline, he probably wouldn't have been able to deal with it so easily. This fellow was definitely very strong. He could easily suppress an expert from a world. At the very least, his chances of winning were 50-50 or even 60-70. Such a person wasn't someone that just anyone could resist. It was indeed very terrifying and dangerous. I didn't expect that there would be an expert like you in such a small place. Are you interested in following me? I can bring you along to live a good life. Huang Tianan laughed and stared at Lin Fei. I'm sorry, but I'm not that interested in that. I even have to tell you that I've taken a liking to this item. You're a step too late, so you can scram now. Lin Fei laughed and threw out several punches. Each punch landed on the illusory figure's body. The illusory figure received an attack. After a series of explosions, the illusory figure kept retreating as cracks appeared on its body. Following which, with a whoosh, the figure shattered. Lin Fei immediately burst forth with a super powerful technique. It was purely a close combat technique, and he directly destroyed the phantom image. This shocked Huang Tianan. This illusory figure could be considered a powerful technique, but this guy managed to block it. I didn't think that there would be someone as strong as you in a place like this. Not bad, not bad. However, you're still not my match. No one will ever be able to snatch what I've taken a liking to. Suddenly, Huang Tianan formed a seal with both hands and a huge seal pressed down. The moment it pressed down, it immediately felt different. God Lord Zhe Mu and the others naturally couldn't block it. Their faces turned pale and their bodies trembled. This was definitely the technique of an eternal expert. How is it? You've never seen my eternal technique, right? Chapter 5188. Huang Tianan used an eternal attack right from the get-go. An attack from Eternal was completely different from other attacks. It contained the power of space and time, so it was not easy to resist such a method. Just look at God Lord Zhe Mu and the others. Lin Fei chuckled. Don't think that you're the only one with decent moves. Who doesn't? Just look at me. After refining the absorption type immortal bloodline, Lin Fei wanted to see just how strong his body had become. Therefore, this was the perfect time to do so. With a roar, he threw a punch. This punch did not contain any offensive move. It was purely physical strength. He was just putting his all into it. Even Huang Tianan was slightly surprised when he saw this punch. This guy had actually grasped the power of the eternal level. However, his opponent had not cultivated any eternal laws. It was purely the power of his physical body. This made Huang Tianan even more surprised. It must be said that it was extremely difficult to exert the power of an eternal level with one's physical body. It was the same even for people like them. For example, Huang Tianan could only use a little bit of eternal power. However, even if he only used a little bit, he would still be stronger than anyone else. It seems that I've still underestimated you. I didn't think that you could also exert the power of an eternal expert. All the more reason for me to suppress you here. No one will be able to snatch this thing from me. Strand after strand of law energy erupted. Every strand of law energy shocked Lin Fei. He finally understood why eternal experts were so powerful. They could control the power of laws, but these laws did not seem to be complete. They could only be considered a fragmented part. However, the power that erupted from them was truly terrifying. It crushed through Lin Fei's body. Of course, Lin Fei's attack also passed through the power of the laws and shook them. It landed right in front of Huang Tianan. The two of them were instantly attacked by each other. Loud rumbling sounds echoed out. With the two of them at the center, a black hole appeared. The surrounding void immediately shattered. God Lord Zhe Mu and the others of Samsara immediately ran far away. Now that they were more than 100,000 kilometers away, they didn't dare to get any closer. This was also because they reacted quickly in advance. Otherwise, the method just now would have directly pulled them to the edge of death, and they would not be able to withstand it at all. Milord is truly powerful. He can really unleash an eternal level attack. He's truly found a powerful backer. My lord is mighty and domineering. Samsara naturally worshipped him the most. As for God Lord Zhe Mu, who had just entered, they were even more stunned. It turned out that the person they were fighting before could really erupt with eternal level battle power. Furthermore, it was the power of the eternal realm's physical body. This was even more different. They had known for a long time that a strong physical body could unleash a power beyond the level of a super-level martial artist. However, not everyone was capable of unleashing such a powerful battle prowess. Now they really saw it. The combat power of his physical body is really strong. You are indeed powerful. Huang Tianan spat out a mouthful of blood and looked over coldly. He was indeed injured by the punch just now, and the injury was very serious. It was the same even if he used his treasures. His opponent's combat power was simply too strong. This was especially true when it came to close-quarters combat. His opponent didn't seem to have been injured at all. Although there were some wounds, they were far lighter than Huang Tianan's. Huang Tianan immediately realized how terrifying this guy was. Even in their world, not everyone could possess such a powerful physical body. There were very few who could do so. The vast majority of eternal experts walked the path of laws. Your attack is pretty good, but it's still a lot worse than mine. It seems that you won't be able to take away anything today. Lin Fei let out a loud laugh and pounced on him. He attacked with both hands. There was a loud rumble, and each punch shook the void. Even though Huang Tianan had the power of laws around him to resist, he found it difficult to endure. Suddenly, 99 origin spirits walked out from behind Lin Fei. The moment the 99 origin spirits walked out, they instantly transformed into a samsara array. The array opened. Huang Tianan was seriously injured with one punch. Most of his body had been blown up. Even if Huang Tianan recovered, his vitality would be greatly injured. Staring at the black-robed man in front of him, he once again realized that he had miscalculated. You actually cultivated 99 origin spirits of samsara. The error-free chapter of Invincible King of Leveling will continue to be updated in the new Sea of Books. There will be no advertisements on the site. Everyone, please bookmark and recommend the new Sea of Books. Those who like the Invincible King of Leveling, please bookmark. Invincible King of Leveling, please bookmark the new Sea of Books. Chapter 5189. Huang Tianan naturally recognized this famous primordial spirit array. He had never thought that someone could cultivate 99 primordial spirit. This was the scariest thing. Where did this super monster come from? Not only had his fleshly body reached the eternal level, but he had also cultivated 99 reincarnated essence spirit. He remembered that he could only cultivate 10 reincarnation primordial spirits at most. But now, he could cultivate 99. This was too scary. With a rumble, the 99 primordial spirits slashed out. This slash caused Huang Tianan's strength to drop by a huge realm. He could originally use 100% of his strength, but in the blink of an eye, he was only left with 50%. This was definitely a huge difference. Then, the other party punched out. When this punch came, Huang Tianan couldn't resist it at all. He was already seriously injured, so he fell to the ground on the verge of death. The people in the distance sucked in a breath of cold air. Their lord was too monstrous. Not only could he burst out with eternal level strength, but he also had 99 reincarnation primordial spirit. That was what was truly terrifying. Even God Lord Zhe Mu and the others sucked in a breath of cold air. They no longer had any thoughts. Even though he was a little unconvinced when he was being controlled previously, he was completely convinced now. 99 primordial spirit. It wouldn't matter even if he killed them 100 times over. They couldn't bear it at all. This expert from the Imperial territory suffered a huge loss and was even on the verge of death. He wasn't a match for Huang Tianan at all. Once 99 reincarnation primordial spirits were released, they were simply a super-killing weapon. Who could withstand it? No matter how strong you were, you wouldn't be able to withstand the restrictions of this reincarnation array. The people who came with Huang Tianan were also shocked. They couldn't believe that they would encounter such a super expert in this world. Too strong. Once 99 primordial spirits were released, not only Huang Tianan's strength was restricted, but they were also the same. At this moment, they didn't dare to move at all. They knew that as long as they moved, the other party could kill them with one punch. The other party had the ability to do so. Actually, I should thank you for coming all the way here to give me something. Tell me, how should I thank you? Lin Fei smiled as he came to Huang Tiannan's side. This guy was already on the verge of death. His vitality had indeed been greatly damaged. Even if he survived, it would take a very long time for him to recover his strength. Huang Tiannan was incomparably bitter. Victory was originally within his grasp, but in the blink of an eye, it had taken a huge dive. Not only did he have an eternal body, but he also had 99 reincarnated primordial spirit. If this news were to spread to their world, it would definitely be extremely shocking. No one had ever broken the limit of 10 reincarnation primordial spirit. But now, someone had broken the limit and directly cultivated 99 reincarnation primordial spirit. I wholeheartedly accept my loss. However, if you kill me, you will be in big trouble. My world is far more powerful than you can imagine. Huang Tiannan spat out blood as he spoke. He was so weak that he couldn't even open his eyes. His vitality was badly damaged. The reason why he didn't die on the spot was because he had some strong defensive treasures. I know that someone like you definitely comes from a big place, but if I wipe out all of you, it will take some time for you to find me. Even if you come, you won't be able to say that you are really strong. When the time comes, I can dig a hole and wipe out everyone that comes. I wonder how many experts you have that are worth me attacking. Lin Fei smiled and said. Huang Tiannan's heart skipped a beat. Why didn't he think of that? If this person really went on a killing spree, he would be able to wipe out as many as they came. Unless it was a top expert, but no one could imagine that such a person would actually have such strength. Even in the eternal world, he would be one of the top experts. Huang Tiannan was really helpless. It's better for you to accept your fate. After all, on account of the gifts you've given me, I might even let you go. Don't you think so? After all, I am not a bloodthirsty person. Lin Fei turned his head and said to God Lord Zhe Mu and the others, all of you can stand guard outside. Without my permission, no one can come in. The first thing they did was to rush out. All of a sudden, it was silent inside. Even the few experts that Huang Tiannan had brought along were more well-behaved. Chapter 5190. Everyone left. Huang Tiannan knew better than anyone that this black-robed young man had something to ask him. At the very least, he should be able to survive. The person in front of him was really terrifying. If he knew that there was such a strong person here, he definitely wouldn't have come at this time. In any case, this thing wasn't something that just anyone could carry. Huang Tiannan felt rather bitter in his heart. He, a proud son of the heavens, had come all the way here, only to be beaten down by someone right away. Not many people would believe him even if he told them. You want to know about the celestial sect? I can tell you. I know quite a lot, as long as you let me go. Huang Tiannan was the first to speak. Lin Fei felt that this person knew his place. He didn't need to ask and he just said it. He was quite smart. This kind of person could still live a little longer. You're really smart. You know what I want to know. Tell me and I'll let you go. After all, with my strength, if you really want to go back and find someone to take revenge on me, you'll have to consider whether you have the ability to do so, don't you think so? After all, I didn't cultivate 99 souls for nothing. Who knows if I have other reincarnated souls? What do you think? Lin Fei smiled and blinked. Huang Tiannan really didn't have such thoughts. How many trump cards did a person who could cultivate 99 reincarnation primordial spirits have? This was something that no one could guarantee. Who knew when they would meet a more terrifying killer move? If that was the case, no one would be able to sit still. This Stargate is actually a celestial sex teleportation formation. I heard that in the past many celestials came down to search for all sorts of things. In their eyes, our world is a lower world. Even the world I am waiting for is the same. Huang Tianan didn't dare to hide anything anymore as he continued to speak. Now that he said this, he knew something. So, this was the celestial sect's teleportation formation. No wonder he felt that it was different when he first saw it. So, it actually led to the celestial world. Was there really a celestial world? Can these teleportation formations really lead to that celestial world? How much more do you know? Just tell me everything you know. Lin Fei continued to ask. This matter was quite important to him. Huang Tianan continued speaking. He knew a lot about these things. After all, he himself was a proud son of heaven. After all, some matters of the sect could not be hidden. This time, he had also come for the shards of the door. To be able to find such an immortal sect fragment was something to be proud of. Unfortunately, he was a step too late. If he had come earlier, this thing might have fallen into his hands. After all, the native experts here wouldn't have been able to stop him at all. It was different after meeting Lin Fei. This was definitely a very bad thing. Lin Fei listened to Huang Tianan's words as he pondered over the shards of the door. It seemed like he had come to the right place. According to what you said, this immortal sect needs 10 shards in order to form a complete immortal sect teleportation formation. Is that the logic? Huang Tianan nodded. Indeed, there are only 10 shards. Only by gathering all 10 shards together can we restore the immortal sect transmission array. This world of ours, which is also the so-called lower realm, only has these 10 shards. There are no other shards, so it's not an easy task to obtain these shards. Huang Tianan spoke very seriously. A few of the immortal sect fragments have already fallen into the hands of powerful sections. They all have some eternal experts. They are also searching for these shards, hoping to enter the so-called celestial world one day. Because all the passages to the lower realm have been closed, there's no such thing as ascension. Lin Fei knew that information again. Did anything else happen here in the past? Otherwise, they wouldn't have closed all the passages, nor would they have left behind any immortal sect fragment. I believe you should be clear about this. Lin Fei acutely grasped some of the key points. He asked again. Huang Tianan continued speaking. We're not very clear about this. We only know that in the past there was a huge change in the 33 levels of Celestial World, so all the passages were closed. We haven't reached the so-called upper realm for a very long time. In the past, when one cultivated to the eternal realm, there would be people from the immortal sect coming over to guide them. But after that, there were no more. This was indeed a big piece of news. This is all I know. Huang Tianan lowered his head. Chapter 5191. This information was actually quite good for Lin Fei. No matter what, he had the chance to enter the celestial world. Huang Tianan's arrival was rather timely, to be able to deliver so much information to Lin Fan. Although this information wasn't worth much, it was still quite important to Lin Fei. At the very least, he had a certain understanding of the celestial world. Now, there's only one thing left. As long as you tell me the exact location of the remaining immortal sect shards and which sect they are in, I'll let you go. I'm quite a trustworthy person. Huang Tianan really did know some things. Therefore, he told Lin Fei about the remaining immortal sect shards. I only know that there are 6 of them. There are 4 remaining fragments. There is one here and I don't know where the other 3 are. Lin Fei was quite satisfied knowing that there were 6 of them. You can take your people and leave now. As for how you are going to deal with what happened today, that is up to you. I can only welcome you to take revenge at any time. Huang Tianan shook his head like a rattle drum. Senior, don't joke around. I wouldn't dare to take revenge. Even if you gave me 100 guts, I wouldn't dare. With the gap between us, you can easily kill me. I'll keep my mouth shut about what happened today. No one will know that I'm here. Huang Tianan took out a treasure and left. After Huang Tianan left, Lin Fei's gaze landed on the Gate of Immortality fragment. He didn't expect that such a fragment would have such a huge history. Fortunately, God Lord Zhe Mu and the others didn't know much about it. They couldn't even lift it. After all, it was something used by Celestials. It would be weird if they could lift it. Lin Fei reached out with one hand and grabbed onto the immortal door. There were no ripples, but just as he was about to lift it, he couldn't move at all. It was as if it was rooted to the ground. It was really heavy. No wonder normal people couldn't lift it. Without a strong body, it was impossible, not to mention putting it away. This time, it was very different from before. The strength in Lin Fei's body exploded with a rumbling sound. It was just pure physical strength. He didn't use any other methods. He knew that if he wanted to obtain the Gate of Immortality fragment, he would need to use his physical strength to move it. Otherwise, it would be a waste of effort. Second by second, the Gate of Immortality fragment finally moved. At this moment, Lin Fei had already pushed the power of the eternal body to the limit. Even if there were 99 primordial spirits, they would still come out. With their combined strength, they finally managed to shake the Gate of Immortality fragment. Then, the Immortal Gate fragment was pulled out. Then, it slowly shrank and fell into Lin Fei's hand. This made Lin Fei heave a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, I've cultivated 99 primordial spirit. Coupled with my eternal level divine body, I was able to take it down. Otherwise, even if it was right in front of me, I wouldn't be able to lift it. Lin Fei finally knew how heavy the Gate of Immortality fragment was. He could also imagine it. If the other sects could get their hands on this thing, it would definitely be a terrifying thing. In other words, it wouldn't be easy to snatch the Gate of Immortality fragment from them. He still had to improve his strength. When he came out of the Broken Land, God Lord Zhe Mu and the others were already waiting outside. They had all seen Huang Tianen come out in a sorry state and leave with his people. They were quite surprised. They didn't expect the black-robed young man to let Huang Tianen go. It made sense. Although such a person could erupt with eternal-level battle prowess, he wasn't as strong as the black-robed young man. In fact, he could do it with just a thought. Even if such a person wanted to take revenge, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Sure enough, the black-robed young man was more or less magnanimous. My mission here is more or less completed. I won't disturb you anymore. I'll take my people and leave this world. After obtaining the Gate of Immortality fragment, Lin Fei naturally had no intention of staying here. He still had another thing to do. That was the Gate of Great Void. God Lord Rakesh thanked him profusely again. If it weren't for this person, this world would probably be in trouble. It wasn't just the invaders that were brought back. Even some of the most notorious people in their own world were captured in one fell swoop. Peace was restored to this world. Lin Fei took God Lord Zhe Mu and Samsara and the others and left this world. They returned to their original world. Chapter 5192. Everything returned to normal as soon as they returned. At the very least, Lin Fei didn't have God Lord Zemu and the others make any big moves. It was as if nothing had happened. After all, Lin Fei didn't want anyone to know that he had recruited the three of them. No one knew. They just felt that there were quite a few more people after this trip. Why did they return in such a hurry? Everyone was quite surprised. But since the three of them had said so, they naturally had no objections. Even the three of them had returned. It was highly possible that the natives here had some ulterior motive. What if they found a new expert? That was also a possibility. This was the only way they could rush back as soon as possible. Otherwise, if they stayed there, they would become slaves in their hands. They knew this better than anyone else. They knew it better than anyone else. Your current mission is very simple. Ask me about the Gate of Great Void. If there's nothing important, don't come here. Just pretend that nothing happened. Let me temporarily use this place as my headquarters. After Lin Fei came out, he sent the three of them away. He told them to go investigate the Gate of Great Void. Although the three of them were quite surprised, they still obediently went to investigate the Gate of Great Void. Lin Fei returned to his residence. Samsara was still by his side. Samsara's horizons had been broadened this time. He hadn't expected his lord to be so strong that he had actually reached the eternal realm. Even if he hadn't reached the eternal realm, he could still clearly see the power of the eternal realm. Even the people from the other world had been suppressed. Now that he said it, he was shocked. "Master, you're back." This time, Chu Qingqing immediately came over. Recently, he had been cultivating here. He did not expect that the uncle master of this house would return so quickly and come up to him immediately. "I came back after completing my task. I can see that you've been cultivating quite well. Take out your primordial spirit and take a look." Chu Qingqing's aura was a bit different. In other words, Chu Qingqing had been cultivating quite seriously these past few days. From this, Lin Fei could still see it. Chu Qingqing immediately released her primordial spirit. It was indeed quite efficient for her to cultivate 5 primordial spirits in a short period of time. This was the capital that Lin Fei had invested in her. It did not disappoint Lin Fei. Lin Fei laughed. "You're quite diligent. You didn't slack off when I was away. In this case, I can take you back." Being able to cultivate 5 reincarnations of the primordial soul was indeed quite fast. It was much faster than before. In such a short period of time, he had cultivated 2 or 3 reincarnation primordial spirit. If this happened outside, no one would believe it. The Samsara primordial spirit was famous for being difficult to cultivate. However, it was extremely easy for Chu Qingqing. "Martial uncle, can we go back now?" Chu Qingqing's entire person became excited. After cultivating the 5 reincarnations of primordial spirits, he really wanted to go back. Let them know that the current Great Void sect is not so easy to bully. He had also cultivated 5 reincarnation primordial spirit. He wasn't as strong as his martial uncle, but it was enough to suppress them. It wouldn't be too much of a problem to fight to a draw. "We can go back after a while. You have to cultivate well. When the time comes, you will be the one to fight. Are you afraid?" Lin Fei said. Chu Qingqing said seriously, "I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid at all. I can't wait to fight with them now and let them know that none of our Great Void Sect's soldiers are deserters. There are only those who die on the battlefield." Chu Qingqing buried her head in cultivation again. Lin Fei's remaining matter was very simple. He just had to wait for news. Wait for the Great Void Sect. Of course, there was another matter, and that was this Immortal Gate. Lin Fei felt that the Immortal Gate fragment should be quite extraordinary. He wondered if he could sign in for it. If he signed in, he might be able to obtain some good things, even though the possibility of that was very low. It didn't matter if he gave it a try. What if he succeeded? Lin Fei was quite interested in such things. He set up an array formation around him. Then, he took out the door and a special aura spread out. However, it was blocked by the array formation and couldn't leave at all. Ding! You signed in next to the Immortal Gate fragment. Obtained immortal energy. Chapter 5193. The sudden sign-in really surprised Lin Fei. He didn't expect that he would get such a good thing by signing in next to the Immortal Gate fragment. It was actually immortal energy. Following that, a strand of immortal energy appeared in Lin Fei's hand. This strand of immortal energy was very special, and it even exuded a mysterious aura. This aura was very comfortable, and within the immortal energy, Lin Fei could even smell the legendary terrifying aura of death. He could even sign in. This thing really surprised Lin Fei. He originally wanted to give it a try to see what he could get, but he didn't expect that this Immortal Gate fragment would actually have such a good thing. It seemed that every time he signed in, he would be able to obtain a lot of immortal energy. According to what he said, if I sign in and refine this immortal energy, I can obtain the eternal aura in my body. Could it be the law fragment that the other party used? Forget it, I'll give it a try first. Lin Fei didn't forget about Huang Tianan. That guy used the law fragment to attack, and it was indeed quite powerful. This power was above all other powers. It was no wonder that guy was so confident that he could take away the immortal gate fragment. If it wasn't for the fact that his strength had increased, he probably wouldn't have been able to stop this guy at all. Fortunately, all of these things belonged to him now. As for whether or not this guy would go back and spread the news, that was unlikely. They would probably send experts to secretly look for him. That Huang Tianan definitely wouldn't be able to take this lying down. Lin Fei more or less analyzed the situation. But now that the immortal gate fragment was in his hands, things were completely different. He could definitely use it to sign in. Then, he immediately refined a strand of immortal energy. The power in his body directly wrapped around this strand of immortal energy. In an instant, it was as if he had eaten a peach of immortality. It was an extremely enjoyable and comfortable feeling. In the blink of an eye, this strand of immortal energy was refined. This strand of immortal energy wasn't very strong, but it wasn't very weak either. But it was quite easy for Lin Fei to refine. Lin Fei's fleshly body had already reached the eternal level, so refining it was much easier. Not to mention the fact that there was only one strand of immortal qi, refining it would be a piece of cake. There weren't many so-called laws within his body. It only allowed Lin Fei's body to improve to a certain extent. Compared to before, there was an obvious improvement which surprised Lin Fei. It wasn't a law fragment, but a powerful physical body. Looks like my thinking is a little off. This immortal energy can only allow my body to continue to advance. This is good too. This way, my eternal body should be able to reach the peak level very soon. At that time, the power that I can unleash will also be stronger. I just don't know if I can still obtain this immortal energy by signing in next to the gate of immortality fragment. With this thought in mind, Lin Fei started signing in again. In the following days, he guarded the gate of immortality fragment. Otherwise, he would give Chu Qingqing some pointers. Chu Qingqing did not let them down. It had only been 5 to 6 days. Even if Lin Fei had obtained the immortal sect shard, it would still be useful. Signing in basically gave him immortal energy once every 2 days. After 6 days, Lin Fei obtained 3 strands of immortal energy. He refined all 3 strands of immortal energy immediately. His eternal body was still improving. This was a great thing for Lin Fei. Unless one day this immortal energy was useless to him. In that case, he could give it to the reincarnation primordial spirit to cultivate. This also made Lin Fei look forward to something even more. He had to get the remaining gate of immortality fragment first. It would be great if he could get his hands on the gate of immortality fragment. At that time, he should be able to obtain more immortal energy by signing in. Lin Fei had cultivated 99 reincarnated primordial divinities. The bodies of the reincarnation primordial spirits were naturally very ordinary. They only had strong combat power. If their physical body was raised to the eternal level, it would be equivalent to 99 reincarnation primordial spirits having the combat power of the eternal level. That scene would be too terrifying. No one would be able to stop it. In fact, these 99 reincarnation primordial spirits could even be stored in his body, allowing Lin Fei to instantly erupt with the combat power of 99 reincarnation primordial spirit. It would be even stronger and more terrifying than it was now. Lord, we have received news from the Great Void Sect. God Lord Zhe Mu immediately came to report. After this guy came back, he put everything aside and arranged for people to investigate the news of the Great Void Sect. He immediately sent it over, not daring to have any hesitation. Chapter 5194. Finally, the news from the Great Void Sect arrived. Lin Fei waited for several days. After all, he now had enough manpower. If he could capture all the beasts here, then there was no need to even mention the beasts from the other world. One could imagine that he already had a powerful force on his side. No matter what faction it was, it would be very difficult to stop them, even if their sect had a 10-star expert. It was simply impossible to stop them. Even if an eternal-level powerhouse made a move, Lin Fei could still suppress them with his presence. This was where Lin Fei's confidence came from. This was also why he wanted to capture all of them. If it weren't for the fact that Samsara had so many powerful beasts, Lin Fei really wouldn't have thought about this. But now, he had a huge chance of winning. God Lord Zhe Mu came in with the information and obediently stood next to Lin Fei. Lin Fei flipped through the information and slightly furrowed his brows. He had to admit that God Lord Zhe Mu was quite capable. The information from his investigation was quite complete. According to our investigation, they captured all the people from the Great Void sect and prepared to kill them. In truth, they're trying to lure the snake out of its hole. God Lord Zhe Mu didn't just find out about this. More importantly, he also knew why they wanted to capture all the people from the Great Void sect. For example, they were trying to lure the snake out of its hole. This method of luring the snake out of its hole was rather simple. It was to find Chu Qingqing. In other words, they were doing this for Chu Qingqing. Chu Qingqing is the one with the most potential in this generation of the Great Void sect. Moreover, she has a key on her. No wonder they wanted to do this. After looking through the information, Lin Fei knew what was going on. They were indeed fishing. They were fishing for the fish, Chu Qingqing. Lin Fei couldn't help but smile. If it was something else, he wouldn't care. But this way, he could catch them all in one fell swoop. Right, do you have any information on this faction? God Lord Zhe Mu took out another set of information. It wasn't a lot of information, but it was very detailed. Yes. The sect that dealt with the Great Void sect is called the Heaven-Shaking sect. It used to be very powerful and could be said to be at the top level. But now, it's basically at the bottom. God Lord Zhe Mu now knew how to leave a good impression in front of this lord. That was to do everything that could be done honestly. There was nothing that made him feel more relaxed than this. Not only did he gather information on the Great Void Gate, but he also gathered information on the Heaven Shaker School. No wonder. Turns out that they are the top forces in this world. So that's how it is. Looks like I can meet them. Aren't they just 10-star experts? It would be best if we could wipe out the Heaven Shaker sect and restore the prestige of the Great Void sect. Lin Fei was just about to find a sect to start with. Now that the Sky Shaker sect had taken the initiative to deliver itself to him, Lin Fei naturally wouldn't stand on ceremony. Let's kill them first. It was as simple as that. Sir, I've also heard that the Heaven Shaker Gate is actually a very good place. They have a training ground. I've heard that this training ground was left behind by a top powerhouse in the past. Training there will be great benefits. This wasn't in the information, but hearing it from God Lord Zhe Mu's mouth was completely different. One could easily imagine how deep the Heaven Shaker sect was. Becoming a top faction was even more difficult. I also heard that this Heaven Shaker sect should have some eternal attack. As long as we can endure those eternal attacks, we'll naturally be able to take down the Heaven Shaker sect. How strong was the Great Void sect in the past? How was it compared to this Heaven Shaker sect? Why don't you call Chu Qingqing over? I'll ask her. God Lord Zhe Mu's words truly did make Lin Fei feel a little interested. The Great Void sect truly did need to rise, or else they wouldn't have this mission. How to deal with it was another problem. Now that he said this, Lin Fei felt that he had a certain degree of trust in this operation. God Lord Zhe Mu went out and called Chu Qingqing in. As soon as Chu Qingqing came in, she saw the information on the side. This is the information we just received. Take a look and see what you think. After all, this matter is related to you. Chu Qingqing picked up the information and began to read. This glance caused her to glare at God Lord Zhe Mu. What a Heaven Shaker sect. They're clearly fishing for me. They're just courting death. This is too much. Chapter 5195. Chu Qingqing knew what was going on when she saw the information. The first thing he did was to pick it up and take a look. His expression was one of extreme anger. It's the Heaven Shaker sect. They were the ones who attacked us back then. If it wasn't for them, the Great Void School wouldn't have fallen so easily. And now they want to take the key from me. Now they want to lure me out and get the key. Even Chu Ching was able to see it. This was a fishing operation. There was no need to mention Lin Fei and the others. Naturally, they could see everything clearly. This Heaven Shaker sect really had some tricks up their sleeve. They actually gathered all the people from the Great Void sect together and prepared to kill them all to lure them out. Since they've come up with such a big move, then we have to do as they wish. There's still some time before that day, so we should go now. We can still make it in time. We can show up on that day and let them know that the Great Void sect is no longer the same as before. Lin Fei didn't want to be late. They wanted to kill all of them. When that happened, the Great Void sect wouldn't have many people left. Naturally, this wasn't what Lin Fei wanted to see. So he made his decision right away. Chu Ching was also very happy. They could finally go back. Who knew how long they had been waiting for this day? This time, it was completely different from before. Before, they were being chased by the Heaven Shaker sect and were nearly captured. But now, things were different. They had the Patriarch. The Patriarch brought them back. The people around him were all experts. Even though he had cultivated 5 reincarnation primordial spirits, he still felt that he couldn't beat them. This wasn't an illusion. He really felt that way. All of them were great demons with incomparably tough bodies. Their combat strength was even stronger. Therefore, if they were to really fight, they would be evenly matched. Just like that, Lin Fei left with his people. This time, almost all of the great demons were taken away. The entire Million Mountains were much emptier. At least, they weren't as strong as before. Lin Fei wasn't worried about whether the Million Mountains would be occupied by the human race in the future. If the human race had the ability to do so, they would have occupied the Million Mountains long ago. They wouldn't have waited until now. At the very least, there were still some great demons left behind. At the very least, for a very, very long time, the human race experts would definitely not find out. Lin Fei led them directly to the world where the Heaven Shaking sect was located. This world was called the Sanqing world. It was a relatively large world. The Heaven Shaker sect was one of the overlords here. There were 3 other overlords like him, and they did not have complete control over this great world. It looked like 3 countries were in a stalemate. Among them, the Heaven Shaker sect was the more domineering because they had experts backing them. He was extremely domineering in his actions, such as the destruction of the Great Void sect this time. It was just that the Heaven Shaker sect was stubborn. The Great Void sect was no longer the same as before, but many people still knew how tyrannical it was in the past. Therefore, they naturally wouldn't make a move. Only the Heaven Shaking Gate directly attacked and blasted the Great Void Gate into ruins. They captured everyone inside. In the end, they didn't get the key. This caused many factions to gloat. Didn't they just waste their time? Who would have thought that the Heaven Shaker sect would do something like publicly execute them? That was different. This was a fishing operation. It was up to the Great Void sect to see if they could endure it. If they couldn't, then they would really fall for it. Of course, more people had also investigated and found out some information. The key should have fallen into Chu Ching's hands. As long as Chu Ching appeared, the others would probably make a move. The secret of the top floor wasn't really a secret, so everyone knew what was going on. As the day drew closer, the number of people around the Heaven Shaker sect increased. They were all here to watch. Of course, there were some gossipers. They were all here to watch the show. They didn't stop these gossipers, but the number of people arranged around them gradually increased. They had to find Chu Ching. Right now, all the evidence pointed to her. She had the key in her possession. It was a pity that Chu Ching had escaped back then. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so troublesome right now. Who knew how many people were paying attention to this matter in the dark? Fortunately, the outcome was about to be decided. Chu Qingqing would definitely appear. Chapter 5196. Today was the happiest day for the Sky Shaker School. It was finally time for them to reap the rewards. The news they'd released had already spread throughout the world. Now it was up to Chu Qingqing to come. In their opinion, Chu Qingqing wouldn't be able to resist. After all, Chu Qingqing was a loyal person and the disciple with the most potential in the Great Void Gate. She also had the key in her hand. If the key could save their lives, she would definitely come. For the Sky Shaker School, the Great Void Gate was nothing. So what if they let them go? They were all crippled and had no strength left. They wouldn't be able to do anything. As long as they had the key, they could easily accomplish anything. You won't succeed. Chu Qingqing won't come. As long as she keeps cultivating, the Sky Shaker School will be doomed sooner or later. The entire sect will be destroyed. A group of people was brought in. This group of people all looked exceptionally angry. They did not have any cultivation aura on their bodies. They were the elders of the Great Void Gate. Of course, there was also the Gate Master. However, they had all lost their strength. The Sky Shaker School had a lot of tricks up their sleeve. After capturing them, they crippled their strength without affecting them at all. As the Gate Master of the Sky Shaker School, God Lord Luohan laughed. I don't agree with you. You're no different from trash now. I can crush you with a wave of my hand. But you're still useful. If you weren't, you wouldn't even be able to see the sun today. God Lord Luohan didn't care about the Gate Master's words at all. So what if Chu Qingqing's cultivation speed was fast? Could it be that he could suppress them? That was definitely thinking too much. Now, just watch your beloved disciple come. We've prepared for a long time for her. We don't know where she's hiding, but we know she'll come. God Lord Jade Void and the others were brought out. They were all locked up in a large cage. Gate Master, will Chu Qingqing come? She's the only seed of the Great Void Gate. As long as she doesn't show herself, it'll be troublesome to deal with her. I don't know where she's hiding, but we can't find any traces of her. An elder came over and said. When it came to this, they naturally felt very helpless. Since they couldn't find this guy, they came up with this plan. It took more than half a month to spread the news, and it was believed that the news had already spread to every corner of the world. It should be said that many people had come to the Void to observe. Although the Great Void sect was no longer as glorious as it was in the past, who knew what other tricks they had up their sleeves? No one dared to guarantee this, so everyone came to watch the show, just in case they could get some benefit. God Lord Luohan naturally wouldn't say anything to these onlookers. These people would not leave just because of a few words, and they all had a certain level of strength. If they want to watch, then let them watch. It's a good chance for them to know that not everyone can covet the current Heaven Shaker sect. Don't worry, that Chu Qingqing will definitely come. That kind of person will definitely not be able to hide the information she knows. Exchanging a key for the lives of all of them, she will definitely do it. After all, we didn't say that we were going to kill everyone from the Great Void sect. The current Great Void sect was no longer of any use to God Lord Luohan. His only use was to lure Chu Qingqing out and obtain the key. The most important thing was to obtain the key in his hand. Keep a close eye on her. We can't let Chu Qingqing leave after she arrives. Otherwise, we'll become a joke after creating such a huge scene. God Lord Luohan began to issue orders. No matter what, they couldn't let any accidents happen today. As long as Chu Qingqing came, they could forget about leaving. God Lord Jade Void was in despair, trapped in the cage. He naturally didn't want Chu Qingqing to come, but he knew that with her temper, she would definitely come. This is a very bad thing. Chapter 5197. The last thing God Lord Jade Void wanted was for Chu Qingqing to come here. Once here, it was basically impossible to leave. Although there weren't many people in the surroundings, the people from the Heaven Shaker sect were already lurking in the surroundings. Not to mention the experts in the Void. One must know that the Heaven Shaker sect was also one of the top forces. Although they weren't at the forefront, not everyone could fight against them. Therefore, it was basically impossible for Chu Qingqing to return this time. God Lord Jade Void and the others couldn't even warn him if they wanted to. He didn't have any strength left, and there were people watching from the side. He couldn't do anything. Now, he could only watch helplessly. God Lord Jade Void knew what God Lord Luohan wanted to do, so that they could draw people out. The only thing God Lord Jade Void could do now was pray that Chu Qingqing wouldn't come out. Time ticked by. Soon it was noon. More and more people started to gather around them. They were all here to watch the show. In fact, everyone understood one thing in their hearts. This time, it was purely to lure the snake out. This snake was called Chu Qingqing. I heard that he took one of the most important treasures of the Great Void Gate. As for what it was, no one knew. It was a good thing to know about treasures, and now, the Skyshaker sect wanted to capture Chu Qingqing. Or rather, they wanted to use the key in her hands to exchange for the lives of these people. Thinking back to the glory of the Great Void sect in the past, and then looking at the Great Void sect today, they all sighed. Do you think that Lord Jade Void God will come today? I dare say that Chu Qingqing will definitely not dare to come. Even if she comes, she probably won't be able to leave. Who knows, her strength might even be crippled. In the past, I thought that the sect of Great Void was very strong. But who would have thought that it would be destroyed in the face of a peak power? I think she will come. As long as Chu Qingqing comes and hands over the item, everything will be fine. After all, there are so many people watching. The Heaven Shaker School still needs some face. Many people began to discuss it. Some people thought that Chu Qingqing would come, while others thought that Chu Qingqing wouldn't come. In any case, the majority of the people here were from each side. It was already noon, but no one came. Basically, the probability of them coming was very low. God Lord Luohan also walked out. He was in no hurry at all, acting like a fisherman. In his opinion, Chu Qingqing would definitely appear. It was just a matter of a little sooner or a little later. They would not sit idly by. God Lord Luohan's voice resounded. I know that you, Chu Qingqing, are in the vicinity. Your sect master and elders are all here. I didn't kill them, I only crippled their strength. If you don't come out by today, I won't be polite. They will be thrown into the secret domain by me. Whether they can survive or not will depend on their luck. After all, I gave them a chance to live. A door opened directly. After the door was opened, it led to another mystic realm. He could vaguely feel the aura of fear brought about by the secret realm. Many people's hearts skipped a beat. What a fine god Lord Luohan. As expected, he had a way, adding yet another layer of leverage. As long as that Chu Qingqing came, she wouldn't be able to sit still. Secret realms were no ordinary secret realms. Those who entered without strength would die without a doubt. This move was truly formidable. At the very least, the Heaven Shaker Gate had no intention of killing the Great Void Gate. It was just that the people of the Great Void Gate had no chance of surviving. They had to admit defeat. As expected of the Heaven Shaker Gate, they had so many ideas. Not only had they lured the snake out of its hole, but they had also prepared such a move. Even if Chu Qingqing saw this, she probably wouldn't dare to not come out. Not coming out was equivalent to sending them to their death. If they wanted to reach higher realms in the future, they would be a massive stumbling block. Thus, Chu Qingqing would definitely come out. God Lord Luohan said. Had everyone underestimated the abilities of this God Lord Luohan? He had even thought of such a move, using a space-time gate to connect to a secret realm. It was obvious at a glance that this secret realm was extremely dangerous. Once they entered, they would basically have no hope of getting out. They really couldn't sit still in this sort of situation. God Lord Jade Void was even more worried. The mighty Heaven Shaker Gate actually thought of such a method to make me come out? It really isn't easy. Since you want to see me, I'll come out. A figure appeared in the distance. The error-free chapter of the Invincible King of Upgrade will continue to be updated. There are no advertisements on the site, so everyone, please bookmark and recommend it. Chapter 5198. The moment this voice was heard, everyone turned in that direction. A figure appeared in the distance. It was the figure of a young woman. As soon as this woman appeared, everyone knew who she was. This was the only member of the Great Void Gate, Chu-Ching-Ching. They hadn't expected her to actually come. Furthermore, he was swaggering around without anyone behind him. Her courage was truly commendable. At the very least, a normal person wouldn't come here. Once they came, they basically couldn't leave. The caged god Lord Jade Void was clinging to the bars of the cage. He yelled at Chu-Ching-Ching. "Ching-Ching, go, go! Don't come over! Who told you to come back? You've disappointed me!" God Lord Jade Void naturally didn't want Chu-Ching-Ching to come. He hadn't expected Chu-Ching-Ching to actually come, much to his disappointment. This meant that the Great Void Gate's key was going to fall into the hands of the Heaven-Shaking Gate. Who knew how many keys the Heaven-Shaking Gate had obtained? If they really did have a few keys, the Heaven-Shaking Gate would have a chance to enter that place. At the very least, searching for the remaining keys would be very simple. They would have the initiative when the time came. As long as the others wanted to enter, they naturally wouldn't be able to avoid the Heaven-Shaking Gate. Thus, God Lord Jade Void was exceptionally angry at this moment. Just what was Chu-Ching-Ching thinking? Didn't she know that if she came today, she could forget about leaving? He had a look of exasperation on his face. The people around him also began to speak. "Gate Master, perhaps Junior's sister has some other method. Otherwise, she wouldn't have come alone. Or does our Great Void Gate have other experts?" These elders naturally didn't want Chu-Ching-Ching to come. Now that they saw Chu-Ching-Ching come, although they felt some regret, they inexplicably felt that something was amiss. These words caused God Lord Jade Void's eyes to tighten. He began to look again. This time, he felt that something was different. Although he had lost all his strength, he could still sense something different about Chu-Ching-Ching's body. This was completely different from before. Had Chu-Ching-Ching encountered some sort of fortune? If that was the case, her energy shouldn't have changed so much. She had probably cultivated a samsara primordial spirit. However, it wasn't easy to cultivate a samsara primordial spirit. The reason why the Great Void Sect was so glorious was because everyone had cultivated many reincarnated primordial spirits, which gave them invincible fighting power. Now that you don't have so many reincarnated primordial spirits, you don't have such strong combat power. Naturally, you will be suppressed by others. Otherwise, the Heaven Shaker sect would not have dared to make a move even if they were given 100 guts. That was the biggest difference. God Lord Luohan finally smiled. The one in front of him was the genuine Chu-Ching-Ching. Who would have thought that they would really come? It was so straightforward, but he didn't feel any aura around him. In other words, there weren't any experts following Chu-Ching-Ching. Could it be that she was alone? God Lord Luohan was still a little suspicious. Now that the Great Void Sect was no longer at its peak, who knew if there were other experts in the Great Void Sect staying behind in seclusion? If Chu-Ching-Ching really came looking for him, it would really be a headache. Although they seemed to be fearless, there would still be some casualties if they fought. The fact that Chu-Ching-Ching didn't call anyone over made him heave a sigh of relief. Chu-Ching-Ching, you've finally come. You didn't disappoint me. These elders and sect masters are all from the Great Void Sect. Now, as long as you hand over that thing, you can naturally take them away. Don't you think that I'm quite easy to talk to? After all, I won't lie to you in front of so many people. God Lord Luohan's voice was exceptionally loud, and everyone could hear it. Of course, they couldn't help but feel some disdain. A Grand Sect Master using such a method was really quite a joke. These thoughts only appeared in their hearts, but they didn't dare to say them out loud. With the current influence of the Heaven-Quaking Sect, they didn't fear these things. Since I've come, I don't intend to leave. I can give you the thing, but I've always heard that the Heaven-Quaking Sect has many proud sons of heaven. As long as anyone can defeat me, they can naturally take this thing away. Otherwise, no one should even think about taking it away from me. At worst, we'll just die together. A box appeared in Chu Qingqing's hand, and when this box appeared in her hand, God Lord Luohan could feel that this aura was genuine. Chu Qingqing really had brought it here. Chapter 5199. The surrounding people were also quite surprised when they heard this. They hadn't expected Chu Qingqing to challenge the prodigies of the heaven-shaking gate. Everyone knew that the prodigies of the heaven-shaking gate were very powerful. A few of them had already reached extremely high realms and were famous in this universe. Now that she wanted to challenge them, everyone was quite surprised. Even God Lord Jade Void in the cage was the same. They didn't understand. He knew that Chu Qingqing was very talented and had cultivated 2 samsara yuan spirits, but there was still a long way to go before she could spar with the experts of the heaven-shaking gate. He really didn't know what Chu Qingqing was thinking. He inexplicably recalled what she had just said. Had Chu Qingqing really had some sort of fortuitous encounter? If she had, then her strength had increased. Otherwise, she really wouldn't be able to beat the prodigies of the heaven-shaking gate. God Lord Luohan was a little surprised. He had somewhat underestimated Chu Qingqing's determination. She had really brought the item, but he hadn't expected to fight with the prodigies of the heaven-shaking gate. This was truly a little unexpected. Had this fellow's strength increased? But when he wanted to see through Chu Qingqing's strength, he discovered that there was a mysterious veil on her body that seemed to block his view. This surprised him once more. It seemed that Chu Qingqing had broken through. He remembered that she had cultivated 2 samsara yuan spirits before. Then now she might have cultivated 3 samsara yuan spirit. Then her combat strength would have increased by quite a bit. No wonder she dared to say this. Fortunately, the heaven-shaking gate had many prodigies. She just wanted to fight. There was no problem at all. Since you want to fight with the prodigies of the heaven-shaking gate, no problem. I can fulfill your wish. God Lord Luohan turned his head to the disciples of the sect. Which of you is interested in fighting with this Chu Qingqing? If you can defeat her, you will become a core disciple. These words were spoken. Some of the personal disciples of the heaven-shaking gate began to have thoughts. The most important status of a disciple of the heaven-shaking gate was the status of a core disciple. Whether it was in terms of resources or cultivation, there was a huge difference, so everyone was immediately interested. Whoosh! A figure flew out and rushed ahead of everyone else. He could not help but feel a little proud in his heart. I am Chu Xing from the Heavenshaker sect. I heard that you are going to fight with us geniuses. I am one of the weaker ones, so I will have a good fight with you. Chu Xing laughed and took out his treasure. This was a flying sword array, and it directly attacked. He did not take Chu Qingqing seriously at all. He had heard that cultivating 2 primordial spirits would allow one to unleash extremely powerful combat power, but he had never thought much of it. The nearby god Lord Luohan was the same. Chu Xing's strength was not very strong. He was ranked around 100th among the direct disciples. It was enough to deal with Chu Qingqing. This was their main battlefield, so there was naturally a bonus. Moreover, he had also released the rewards for becoming a core disciple. For these direct disciples, they were filled with endless fighting spirit. Even if he was at the 10th level, he could still explode with the strength of a 12th level. This was the difference. Hua! A ray of light suddenly flashed, and all of Chu Xing's attacks instantly stopped. His whole body fell from the sky and smashed into the ground. He had truly come quickly and died just as quickly. No one could react. This kind of strength is fine. Calling yourself a genius is truly disappointing. I hope that there will be someone stronger so that I won't have to work for nothing. At least someone has to defeat me, or else no one will be able to take this thing away. I can destroy it with a single thought. Chu Qingqing snorted. The direct disciples of the Heavenshaker sect were all stunned. Chu Xing had been instantly killed just like that. That's right. It was an instant kill. Without any resistance, he was instantly killed. In fact, they didn't even know how he was killed in an instant. God Lord Luohan's expression slightly changed. The death of a genius was truly quite shameful for the Heavenshaker sect. The death of a genius was truly quite shameful for the Heavenshaker sect. She had come all the way here to challenge them, but in the end she could not defeat Chu Qingqing. What would others think of the Heavenshaker sect? As expected of a genius of the Great Void Gate. She truly is quite powerful. But that was just a warm-up exercise. It's nothing special. Chapter 5200. God Lord Luohan hadn't been able to see how Chu Qingqing had attacked just now. Fortunately, the heaven-shaking gate had plenty of experts, so there was no need to worry. Another figure flew up from behind. This person's strength was much stronger than the previous one by a large margin. The moment he arrived, thousands upon thousands of sword lights enveloped him, not even bothering to greet Chu Qingqing. He had sensed just now that Chu Qingqing was rather fierce. If he let her attack first, he would naturally be at a disadvantage. Thus, he immediately attacked. Although it was a little unsightly, as long as he could suppress Chu Qingqing, there was no harm. Perhaps he would be able to make a great contribution and become a core disciple. Whoosh! A cold wind suddenly blew over this proud son of heaven. He didn't even notice before falling to the ground, killed in one move. It was simply unimaginable. How had this person been killed in an instant? Look, another one with mediocre strength has come. Don't tell me your heaven-quaking sect doesn't have anyone stronger? If this goes on, it's really boring for me. Chu Qingqing chuckled. This time, God Lord Luohan's expression completely changed. Even the expressions of the onlookers changed. They couldn't tell what was going on at all. She's too strong. She's at the level of 9 stars, but she was instantly killed. I've never heard of how strong this Chu Qingqing is. Otherwise, she wouldn't be being pursued. With this kind of strength, no matter how many people come after her, they probably won't be able to return. Right now, the heaven-shaking gate really feels like it's hard to get off. If they really send an elder, it'll be a different story. They'll lose all face and truly be bullying the weak. In the cage, God Lord Jade Void was particularly happy. He had originally been in despair, but now, he inexplicably saw a glimmer of hope. Chu Qingqing's strength had increased. He could naturally tell from that move just now. It was probably the grand array created by the Samsara primordial spirit. Moreover, it was a simplified version that could instantly suppress the opponent's strength. As for how much it could suppress, that would depend on the opponent's strength. He hadn't expected Chu Qingqing to profit from her misfortune and cultivate such a technique. In the blink of an eye, she had instantly killed 2 proud sons of heaven. Both of them were at the 9-star level. Especially the last one, it was quite valuable. The direct disciples on their side were extremely furious. This was completely not taking them, the personal disciples, seriously. 2 more figures flew out. They were the twin brothers. Chu Qingqing, if you have the ability, kill us first. The 2 of them put their hands together and turned into a shadow. As for the 2 of them, they seemed to have become one. It was impossible to see them clearly. Their strength wasn't weak either. They had reached the late stage of 9 stars. However, even though they were at the later stages of 9 stars, when a ray of light rose up, the 2 of them fell to the ground and stopped breathing. Trash. They are simply incapable of stopping me. I think you should just send your core disciples over. Otherwise, I will kill off all of your direct disciples. Chu Qingqing just stood there quietly. This kind of action shocked the people in the distance. Chu Qingqing actually had such a method. She really wanted to wipe out all the personal disciples. Most importantly, they still couldn't tell what method she had used. They could only say that the Great Void Sect's methods were much more mysterious than they had imagined. Some of the big shots in the void had also figured out what was going on. If it had been anything else, they wouldn't have been interested. However, the Great Void Sect was different. Back then, the Great Void Sect had been the strongest because they had the Reincarnation Emperor, who had cultivated the Reincarnation Primordial Spirit. Once the Reincarnation Formation was activated, it was extremely ferocious. It was a pity that after the Reincarnation Emperor, the Great Void Sect had gotten worse with each generation. The combat strength they had displayed had been very disappointing. Now they seemed to have noticed something different about Chu Qingqing. It was very likely that she had used the Reincarnation Formation just now. Only the Reincarnation Formation could have reduced their strength in an instant and caught them off guard. After all, anyone would panic and be unable to react in time. They would be instantly killed. Since you like to fight with the core disciples so much, fine. Let the core disciples fight for you. After all, the Heaven-Quaking Sect might not have many other things, but we do have many proud sons of heaven. Chapter 5201. Lin Fei, who had been in the void this entire time, was also paying attention to the battle. Truly was quite good. After Chu Qingqing's strength had increased, she had cultivated a simplified version of the Samsara array. This was naturally something that Lin Fei had given to Chu Qingqing. The Great Void Gate no longer had such a method, but Lin Fei had been able to easily create it. Chu Qingqing's attack was the unlucky of these personal disciples. Caught off guard, they were struck by the saber. They were instantly killed. One look at God Lord Luohan was enough to tell that he had probably passed out in a daze. Who could have expected that 2 or 3 geniuses would be killed so quickly? More importantly, God Lord Luohan couldn't do it himself. With so many people watching, it would be rather troublesome if he really did attack. The joke was getting bigger and bigger. No one would have said anything if they had captured the Great Void Gate. Now that they were luring the snake out, things were naturally different. Chu Qingqing had come alone, which only added to the illusion that she had walked right into the trap alone, while the rest of them were planning to bully the weak. That would truly make everyone look down on the Heaven-Quaking Sect. In Lin Fei's view, even if the Heaven-Quaking Sect sent out its core disciples, it would be the same. Very few would be able to stop them. In the end, quite a few would die. Chu Qingqing was rather smart. She would kill a few to vent her anger first. The more she did this, the more pressure God Lord Luohan felt. If they couldn't even take down a single person, they would lose all their face. At any other time, things would naturally be different, but with so many people watching, it would be strange if God Lord Luohan could suppress his anger. God Lord Luohan truly was quite angry. He hadn't expected that Chu Qingqing would have some special technique. He had never encountered such a technique before, but after seeing 3 of them, he knew what it was. It was the famous Samsara array. No one in the Great Void Gate knew this Samsara array. Only those with 10 primordial spirits could use it, but Chu Qingqing had used it. Could she have cultivated 10 Samsara primordial spirits? That shouldn't be possible. If he could cultivate 10 more reincarnation primordial spirits, his current battle prowess would not be the same as it was now. He would be able to fight his way up and include all of them in an instant. You've killed so many disciples of my Great Void School. Let me teach you a lesson. Whoosh! Another young disciple came out. As soon as this disciple came out, he displayed the combat power of a 9 stars peak. He was one of the core disciples. At the same time, he was also an elder. This kind of lineup was rarely seen, directly facing off against Chu Qingqing. Chu Qingqing was instantly energized. She had finally met a rather powerful opponent. He wasn't like the previous direct disciples who didn't have any intention of making a move. Whoosh! The moment the reincarnation formation was activated, it locked down a third of the other party's strength, shocking the other party. He finally knew why those people couldn't hold on and followed Chu Qingqing's method. Rumble! Chu Qingqing started fighting with this core disciple, who was at the peak of 9 stars. But now that he was fighting with Chu Qingqing, he was quickly at a disadvantage and was unable to endure it. With a whoosh, a ray of light swept across. This core disciple also fell down, turning into a pile of mud. The expressions of God Lord Luohan and the others became even more unsightly. This was a core disciple, but Chu Qingqing had killed him just like that. Didn't that mean that Chu Qingqing had already reached the peak of 9 Stars Peak? They immediately came back to their senses. If she didn't have the combat power of a 9 Stars Peak, how could she have such powerful combat power? This was completely different from what they had imagined. Chu Qingqing, I didn't think that all of us would underestimate you. You've actually cultivated to the peak of 9 Stars Peak at such a young age. No wonder you killed us disciples first. What a vicious scheme. What a vicious method. I won't allow you to live. God Lord Luohan coldly snorted. An elder next to him directly attacked, smashing down with a large seal. This was a peak of 9 Stars Peak, and it had accumulated a lot of experience. This attack instantly allowed him to experience this method. So you've cultivated a reduced version of the reincarnation formation. No wonder you could instantly kill them. However, this method is useless against me. You've only suppressed 10% of my strength. The moment the elder exchanged blows, he understood. Chapter 5202. Originally, no one knew what sort of technique Chu Qingqing had cultivated. Now, they finally understood that they had cultivated the legendary reincarnation array. No wonder she was so fierce. She could suppress her opponent's strength and instantly kill them. Now that she had encountered the Heaven Shaker Gate Elder, things had changed. She couldn't unleash its true power. They could all see the trick to not being able to unleash its true power. Who didn't know that the reincarnation formation required 10 reincarnated primordial spirits to cultivate? Chu Qingqing clearly hadn't reached this number. That was the most shocking thing to everyone. If they had cultivated it, they would have been able to suppress people of the same level. Back then, the Great Void Sect had been so strong precisely because of the Reincarnation Emperor's reincarnated primordial spirit. Adding on the fact that all 10 reincarnated primordial spirits held treasures, their battle power was naturally different. No wonder Chu Qingqing's battle power is so strong. She has the support of the formation. Those geniuses of the Heaven Shaker Gate are really unlucky to run into something like this. If they hadn't, their future potential would be limitless. I thought that Chu Qingqing would be able to leave, but it seems that she can't. Since she has this formation, she naturally has to hand it over. These people started discussing non-stop. Who asked Chu Qingqing to be so outstanding at this time? God Lord Luohan knew what was going on. Most likely, he was thinking of keeping Chu Qingqing here as well. There was a massive rumble. Chu Qingqing kept retreating. This elder's strength was simply too strong. Although she was suppressing a portion of his strength, it was not enough. Even if she could suppress a portion of his strength, there was no chance of victory. Chu Qingqing's face was starting to pale. If this is all your strength, then you can just stay here. Do you really think that a formation can suppress me? You're underestimating the Heaven Shaker Gate. Suddenly, as soon as the elder showed his might, he immediately used a big move. Chu Qingqing withstood it. Divine light gathered together, but she was still injured. Blood trickled down the corner of her mouth. God Lord Jade Void's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He was in a state of despair. A powerful Chu Qingqing had finally appeared, but he hadn't expected such a situation. What a pity! For a moment, he regretted giving the key to Chu Qingqing. If they didn't hand it over to Chu Qingqing, with her current potential, she could definitely make the Heaven Shaker Gate regret after cultivating for a few more decades. Qingqing, hurry up and leave, don't stay here. Where there's life, there's hope. You should understand this principle. Hurry up and leave. They definitely won't dare to make another move. The only thing he could do now was to let Chu Qingqing leave as soon as possible. They should stay as far away as possible. With so many people around, they probably wouldn't dare to make a move again. After all, he still needed to save face. He wasn't a match for them in a one-on-one fight. Now that they had sent out their elders, if Chu Qingqing was taken down as well, they would become a joke in this universe. How could God Lord Luohan let Chu Qingqing leave this place? It wasn't easy to get here, so there was no need to leave. Otherwise, how could they continue with today's show? What's more, this guy had killed a heaven's favored one. There was no better reason than this. As long as he could take down Chu Qingqing, he would be able to obtain this formation. This was definitely the most cost-effective thing to do. It was really killing two birds with one stone. Boom! A huge palm descended from above. There was a loud bang. The elder raised his hands, and they exploded into dust. Then, a loud and clear voice penetrated the room. Just because Chu Qingqing can't beat him doesn't mean that others can't. The beginning is over. It's our turn. As soon as the voice rang out, everyone was shocked. Even God Lord Luohan was the same. This was completely different from what he had imagined. Could Chu Qingqing really have brought someone? God Lord Luohan had scanned the area just now and hadn't found anyone hiding in the surroundings. For a moment, his thoughts changed quite a bit. There really was someone. Chapter 5203. May I ask who you are? Do you want to interfere in the matter between the Heaven Shaker sect and the Great Void Gate? God Lord Luohan's voice was transmitted over. He wanted to see who was standing behind Chu Qingqing. Could it be an expert from the Great Void Gate? He had never heard of an expert from the Great Void Gate. If there was such an expert, the Great Void Gate wouldn't have been so easily trampled on. Everyone knew about this. As for the others, they were all very surprised. When had Chu Qingqing had an expert like this? There's going to be a good show to watch. The Great Void Gate isn't as bad as we thought. Exactly. I thought that Chu Qingqing was going to be unlucky this time, but it looks like we were overthinking it. Then didn't you notice that God Lord Luohan's expression is very unsightly? He's probably panicking a bit. Everyone had thought that luring the snake out today was no small joke. But after Chu Qingqing came out, they felt that something was different. Especially now. Unexpectedly, there was an expert among them. This was even more different. At the very least, if the Heaven Shaker sect had any tricks up their sleeves, it wouldn't be so easy this time. A figure walked out of the void just like that. It was a black-robed young man. Very young. At least, that was what they thought. After coming out, they felt that this person was very unfamiliar. They had no impression of him at all. He seemed to have come out of nowhere, and he seemed to support Chu Qingqing. Most importantly, he had killed an elder of the Heaven Shaker sect with a single attack. This kind of strength couldn't be ignored. At the very least, it was a huge pressure on the Heaven Shaker sect. God Lord Luohan finally saw this young man. He was very young, ridiculously young, but he gave him a dangerous feeling. This person wasn't easy to deal with. God Lord Luohan knew that this young man was the final pillar of support for the Great Void Gate. It was no wonder that Chu Qingqing dared to come here alone. No, it should be that she had a backer. Sect Master, do you know who this young man is? Why don't I know him? Where did Qingqing find such an expert? That attack just now had been so domineering that it was impossible to block it. The elders in the cages also realized what was going on. That attack just now had been very fierce. There was no way to resist. How could Lord Jade Void God know where this black-robed young man came from? In any case, it was quite dangerous. I was originally worried about Chu Qingqing's safety, but it seems like there's no need to worry. This person is very, very strong. At the very least, it won't be easy for God Lord Luohan to capture him. Countless experts will probably appear. Back in the day, the Great Void sect was very strong and had many good friends. But after a long time, they never came down again. It was truly inconceivable that one would suddenly appear out of nowhere. Sir, you want to interfere in our matters. Also, you just killed an elder of our heaven-quaking sect. Are you going to surrender yourself, or do you want me to do it for you? God Lord Luohan naturally wouldn't let Chu Qingqing leave, nor would he let this black-robed youth leave. Chu Qingqing also came to Lin Fei's side, took out a medicinal pill and swallowed it. There's nothing to be depressed about. That guy is indeed stronger than you. When you cultivate out 10 reincarnation primordial spirits, you'll naturally be able to suppress him. However, it's already over for him. Lin Fei chuckled. He raised his head to look at God Lord Luohan. This heaven-quaking sect was truly shameless. He could see everything clearly from the void. Surrender is no problem. First, beat the people behind me to the ground. Then, I naturally won't have any problems. Whoosh, whoosh. One figure after another walked out from behind Lin Fei. These figures were all brimming with valiant auras. As soon as they appeared, countless people were stunned. Even some of the people in the void sucked in cold breath. The heaven-quaking sect was in big trouble. They had provoked a powerful enemy. God Lord Luohan relied on the power of the heaven-quaking sect, but at this moment, his pupils constricted. Something was wrong. How could these fellows be so strong? Any one of them made him feel a dangerous aura. Chapter 5204. They didn't even dare to imagine such a scene. The young man behind 33 was so fierce that he had brought so many experts with him. Each of them was a complete 9 stars existence, and even if they weren't that far off. Every single one of them made them feel what it meant to be scared witless. For a moment, the entire heaven-shaking sect was in a state of panic. They simply couldn't believe that Chu Qingqing had brought so many helpers with her. Not to mention that the onlookers had similar expressions. It's over, it's over. This time, the heaven-shaking sect is completely wiped out. This Chu Qingqing is too fierce. Which expert is she from? It's probably a hidden force. It seems that we can't offend the Great Void Sect in the future. Could she be from the Great Void Sect? If she is, then it's unimaginable. None of the people present had ever seen such a scene. At this moment, God Lord Luohan coldly snorted. All of you, retreat for me. Open the grand array. He immediately led his people back, not daring to linger. Whoosh, whoosh. A huge barrier opened. Only after the array was activated did God Lord Luohan breathe a sigh of relief. Even the people behind him felt the same. They all breathed a sigh of relief. After all, this was a top-notch array. Even if this black-robed young man had many tricks up his sleeves, could he really break through it? I admit that I underestimated you. And you, black-robed young man, you have such a great background. Do you think it's worth it to do this for the Great Void Sect? God Lord Luohan snorted. With the protection of the array, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief. He himself was extremely strong, but if he fought against these people, he felt that he had no chance of winning. Once he was crushed, he would immediately be killed. But with the array, things were different. After all, this array formation could withstand the attack of a half-step eternal expert. There were no half-step eternal experts around, so they naturally had nothing to fear. They didn't think that this black-robed young man could burst out with such combat power. Everyone felt that it was a pity that God Lord Luohan had escaped. If they had acted just now, they wouldn't have been able to open the spirit array in time. Now they were indeed a step too late. You're pretty smart to know how to use a formation to protect yourself. But do you really think that this formation can stop me? Since you've bullied Chu Qingqing, it won't be too much for me to bully your heaven-quaking gate, right? Lin Fei laughed. No matter how powerful the Heaven-Shaker Gate was, or how overbearing its formation was, it was nothing in Lin Fei's eyes. A hand stretched out. The hand was not very big, but it was this hand that exploded with indescribable power in an instant. It landed on the great array of the Heaven-Shaker sect and the others. There was a loud rumbling sound. Everyone could hear it. The great formation of the Heaven-Shaking sect also shone with a golden light. The golden light grew bigger and bigger, blocking the palm just like that. God Lord Luohan laughed. Your strength is only SOSO. Our Heaven-Shaker Gate's formation is only at the half-step eternal level, but it's obvious that you can't break it with your strength. There were more and more Jingguang, and their power was also increasing. They were filled with an invincible defense. Lin Fei chuckled. You have the nerve to say that this kind of formation can stop me? There was a loud rumble. The power in Lin Fei's hand exploded, layer after layer. It was like a mountain pressing down. Those Jingguang were constantly collapsing. There was a loud rumbling sound. The huge array collapsed in an instant. Following that, the palm came crashing down. It grew bigger and bigger, covering more than half of the Heaven Shaker Gate. There was a loud rumble. All of the buildings were turned into ruins. Even these elders and other experts were attacked in an instant, repeatedly locked onto, carrying out precise attack. They didn't even have time to grunt before they were killed, leaving behind a puddle of blood. God Lord Luohan didn't die. He just lay in the ruins and watched as his opponent retracted his hand. I already said that your Heaven Shaker Gates formation is only SOSO. Now it's your turn. There was a loud rumble. All the great monsters behind Lin Fei rushed in. Chapter 5205. The great Yaos behind Lin Fei were already itching to take action. For example, Samsara and the rest. Without a word, they charged in. The experts of the Heavenly Shaking Sect had been injured by that one palm. Adding on everyone else's attacks, they simply couldn't take it. Screams rang out one after another. Everyone watching from afar sucked in a breath of cold air. This black-robed young man was too ferocious, and the experts behind him were too strong. They could sense the strength of the attackers. All of them were at least at the late stage of 9 stars. More importantly, they were all monsters. The aura of the demonic beasts on their bodies burst out at the same time. It was simply impossible to conceal it, so their expressions changed. Where did this black-robed young man come from? He had summoned so many monsters. Could it be that all of them were with him? Such a formation was enough to completely destroy the Heavenly Shaking Sect. God Lord Jade Void was also dumbfounded. He simply couldn't believe that the Heaven Shaker Gate would crumble like this. He couldn't take it at all. Just now, God Lord Luohan had been rather domineering. In the end, the other party had destroyed their array with a single palm strike, let alone himself. Chu Qingqing was the first to rush over and let them out. The moment they were released, Lord Jade Void felt his entire body recover. He watched as the majestic Heavenly Shaking Sect was reduced to rubble. All of them felt as if they had vented out their resentment, and it was really refreshing to their hearts. So even the Heavenly Shaking Sect had a day like this. Sect Master, these are pills. Eat them quickly and recover from your injuries. Chu Qingqing took out the pills as soon as she came over. Now, he had quite a number of pills, all given to him by Lin Fei. Pills weren't of much use to him. But things were different for Lord Luohan and the rest. With the help of the elixir, their complexions quickly recovered a lot. God Lord Jade Void completely accepted the scene before him. The Heavenly Shaking Sect was completely finished. Qingqing, who is this person? Hurry and take me to thank him. If not for him, we would have been completely finished. No one would ever know about our great Void Sect again. God Lord Jade Void's words were what they wanted to say the most. They all wanted to know what had happened. Why did this black-robed young man use such a big method to directly destroy the Heaven Shaker Sect? If he really wanted to thank him, he would have to get to know him better. At the very least, he was very different from this black-robed young man. All of you can leave now. There's nothing to see here. Just like that, his voice spread out. Everyone's hearts trembled, and they quickly left. This scene was too shocking. Soon, the entire universe would know about this matter. The Heaven Shaker Sect, a top-notch force, had been removed just like that. This was something that no one had expected. It was true that Lin Fei had only attacked once. This array formation was indeed quite strong, but there were 99 primordial spirits that were able to stop Lin Fei. With 99 primordial spirits working together, their combat prowess was extraordinary. Their bodies weren't very strong, but their strength couldn't be ignored. Their only regret was that the Heaven Shakers sect didn't have any experts. They had thought that with an ancestor or something, they would be able to fight a few rounds, but they realized that they had been overthinking things. No wonder the Heaven Shakers sect had declined. They probably didn't have any experts at all. Their formation was pretty good. However, how could they withstand Lin Fei's palm strike? Not to mention, these great yaos. Lord Jade Void also came over. The person in front of him was unfamiliar, and he had no impression of him at all. He was definitely someone he had never seen before, but he had done the Great Void sect a great favor. Thank you, sir, for helping our Great Void sect greatly. If not for you, our Great Void sect wouldn't even dare to think about it. Lord Jade Void came over to thank him. Lin Fei smiled. Actually, there's no need to thank me. In the end, we're still in the same boat. I also cultivate the Samsara primordial spirit because my master also came from the Great Void sect. Ah, you also cultivate the Samsara primordial spirit? God Lord Jade Void was shocked, and then he was overjoyed. He subconsciously slapped his forehead. Why am I so stupid? If Sir hadn't cultivated the Samsara primordial spirit, why would you help our Great Void sect? Lord Jade Void was completely relieved. Chapter 5206. Just like that, a rather sensational piece of news spread in this universe. This made everyone's jaws drop. The famous heaven-shaking sect had been beaten back by the Great Void sect. The entire sect had been razed to the ground, and almost all the experts had died. Even if the rest had escaped, they might not have had a good ending. No way. The heaven-shaking sect is a top force. Although it's not too high up, how could it have been destroyed? This is unbelievable. I heard that the sect leader of the heaven-shaking sect has the combat strength of a 9 stars expert, and can even burst out with the combat strength of a half-step into the eternal realm. How could it have been defeated? I know about the Great Void sect. It was just razed to the ground by the heaven-shaking sect not long ago. How could it have suddenly turned over? Who knows the specifics? It's said that a person called Chu Qingqing found a great expert. In the end, the great expert led countless monsters to attack the sect, and it was destroyed. After the news spread, countless people were shocked. They couldn't believe it, so they ran over to see. It was true. The entire heaven-shaking sect had been turned into ruins, and nothing could be seen. It was a top force. At this time, there were 2 people standing in the void. Both of them had restrained their auras, so their specific strength could not be seen. However, it was clear that they were both 9 stars experts. I didn't expect the heaven-shaking sect to be destroyed just like that. The Great Void sect is too fierce. No, it should be that black-robed young man. When I heard the news, I thought it was a joke. I didn't expect it to be true. Now we have to go back and report. Otherwise, we'll be in big trouble. The 2 looked at each other and left. 2 figures walked out of the mountain peak that was surrounded by clouds and mist. This was the location of their sect. They came to the main hall immediately. At this time, there were already many people standing in the hall. They were all high-level elders of the sect. Even those who were usually in closed-door training had all come, and all of them were frowning slightly. What's the situation? Did the Great Void sect really get rid of the Skyshaker sect? It must be a joke. Although the heaven-shaking sect is a bit weaker than us, it's still not something that the Great Void sect can fight against. Otherwise, the Great Void sect would have grown up a long time ago and wouldn't be in such a sorry state. How could they not know of the Great Void Gate? Their current sect was snatched from the hands of the Great Void sect. Back then, the Great Void sect had occupied a spirit vein, which was a place for cultivation. Therefore, it had attracted the attention of many people. In the end, they successfully captured it. They had thought that the Great Void would never have a chance to rise because they had no expert. Even if they did, they would be killed. The Great Void sect seemed to be on the verge of rising to prominence. Using the Heaven Shaker Gate as an example was no small matter. After receiving the news, he immediately sent 2 perfected 9 stars elders to check on the situation. They had to get to the bottom of it. Everyone's heart tightened when they returned. Hopefully, it wasn't true. If it was, then they would be in trouble. Headmaster, it really isn't good news. The Heaven Shaker Gate has indeed been destroyed. The entire sect is in ruins. As soon as the 9-star consummate elder said this, the expressions of the others changed. There was a lot of discussion. It really wasn't good news. Even the headmaster, who was sitting at the front, stood up. This is what we recorded. You can take a look. The Heaven Shaker Gate no longer exists. The perfected 9 stars elder took out a treasure. It was a video stone that could record everything around it. It wasn't a long time, but it could be used to check on the situation. With a push, an image appeared in front of their eyes. They could see everything clearly. The Heaven Shaker Gate appeared in their field of vision. The arrogant Heaven Shaker Gate had been leveled to the ground and turned into ruins. All of its formations had been shattered. It had indeed been completely erased. They didn't believe that it was impossible. Did you find out where that black-robed young man came from? Not yet, but I think we should be prepared. It's very likely that they will come. Boom! An earth-shattering sound swept through the entire sect. Chapter 5207. There was a rumbling sound. These people immediately felt a terrifying aura directly impact their bodies. They immediately understood that it was the experts of the Great Void sect who had come. Especially that black-robed young man. If it wasn't for him, how could he have arrived so quickly? Thus they all charged out. At this moment, the formation at their main gate was activated. In the distance they could see a black-robed young man. Beside him was a young woman, and there were also many monsters filled with monstrous chi. It's over, it's over. They're finally here. How can they be so fast? We can't even set up anything. Is it that black-robed young man? I can't see through his strength at all. This guy is definitely a super expert. It's all because of that Chu Ching. She found such an expert. Does this person want to help the Great Void sect rise again? Isn't he afraid of offending everyone? Their gazes landed on the leader of the group. It was a black-robed young man who calmly looked over. This is where you used to be. It is indeed not bad. I didn't think that such a sect would occupy it. They are much stronger than the Heaven Shaker sect. Lin Fei looked at the mountain range. It was indeed a good place. This was where the Great Void sect used to be. Lin Fei didn't know about it at first, but as they talked about the glory of the past, he knew that this was the wrong place. Since there was such a place, how could Lin Fei miss it? He brought people over and took back the place. Earlier on, it was Lin Fei who had directly attacked and shaken the formation here. They were all shocked out of their wits. Which of you is the sect leader here? You can come over and speak. Of course, you can choose not to. I will attack later. Once I do, you won't have a good time. Do you understand? Lin Fei's voice rang out above their heads. Even if Lin Fei didn't attack again, they could still feel the pressure coming from him. I am the sect leader of this place. May I know what your intentions are by attacking us? God Lord Fengtian also stood up and met the young man's gaze. He really couldn't see through this young man's cultivation. The more such a person was, the more pressure he felt. He had just destroyed the Heaven Shaker sect, and the latter had already come here. It seemed like they didn't take him seriously. Naturally, this made him feel a little unhappy. It's fine that you destroyed the Heaven Shaker sect, but now you've come here. Since you're the leader of this place, that's for the best. Listen up, this used to be the territory of the Great Void sect. You've been robbing this place for so many years, it's time to get out of the way. I'll give you the time it takes for an incense stick to burn to think about it. Take your people and leave this place. If you don't agree, I'll make a move. Lin Fei didn't waste any words and spoke straightforwardly. Divine Lord Fengtian's expression darkened. They had seized this place back then. Naturally, it was because of the cultivation efficiency here. How could he hand it over now? Sir, you're bullying us too much. This is our territory. Back then, the Great Void Sect couldn't do it because they weren't strong enough. Now that you want to take it back from us, you'll naturally have to show us what you're capable of. How could Divine Lord Fong Tian hand over this place? Not to mention the upper echelon elders behind him. They weren't willing to hand over this place either. It wouldn't be easy to find a better place. Back then, they had acted because they felt that the Great Void Sect was easy to bully. It seems like you're prepared to do the same as the Heavenshaker sect. Since that's the case, I'll fulfill your wish. Lin Fei didn't plan on saying anything more to them. Those who didn't know what was good for them should just suffer a little. Whoosh. A single palm covered the entire sky above the formation. Whoosh 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 whoosh. The entire formation began to move in an instant. Divine Lord Fong Tian's expression changed. He seemed to understand why the Heavenshaker sect's formation couldn't stop this guy. He immediately walked into the formation and personally took control of it. An enormous phantom appeared in the sky above the formation and slashed down with a saber. Total annihilation. Arrogant. Our formation isn't that easy to control. We're not like the Heavenshaker sect, where you can do whatever you want. The phantom that appeared was extremely strong. It was actually a half-step eternal existence. No wonder it was so confident. Chapter 5208. The sect's array was quite powerful. An illusory figure came out of it. After the shadow came out, it raised its hand, and there was a loud rumble. It was truly fierce and invincible. Such a commotion spread through the surrounding area. There were quite a few forces in the vicinity of this sect, and they all came to investigate as soon as they could. When they did, they were all shocked. What kind of joke is this? Someone actually attacked them? With so few people, can they really beat them? Something's not right, something's not right. Don't you recognize the leader? It's that black-robed young man who destroyed the Heaven-Quaking Gate not long ago. I have a rough idea of what's going on. This spirit vein used to belong to the Great Void Sect. They're trying to take back what's theirs. They're in trouble now. There were still a few people who immediately understood what was going on. The black-robed young man was here to take back what belonged to them. Otherwise, he wouldn't have attacked at this time. And he wouldn't have activated the array. Once the array was activated, even a 10-star heart expert wouldn't be able to come out if they went in. It could summon a half-step eternal expert and explode with powerful combat power. For example, a single slash could change the world around them. They all felt a chill run down their spines. They all stood far away, not daring to approach. Even the Heaven-Quaking Gates array couldn't stop me back then, let alone this array of yours. Lin Fei smiled coldly. With a whoosh, the 99 primordial spirits exploded with all their power. With a single punch, they shook the opponent's shadow and charged forward. The punch landed on the array, and there was a loud rumble. The shadow swayed. Then a saber slashed out. The saber slashed at Lin Fei, but Lin Fei didn't care at all. Another punch landed on the array. Whoosh whoosh. The array rapidly consumed energy. Even God Lord Fong Tian, who was controlling the array, was shocked. He couldn't believe that his opponent was so strong. He was able to resist the attack of a half-step eternal expert. It seems that the attack power of your half-step eternal experts is only SOSO. You can't even shake me, and you still have the nerve to say that you can resist me? Lin Fei chuckled. Another punch landed on the formation. In an instant, it pierced through, shattering dozens of defenses in an instant. Then there was a cracking sound. A hole was blasted open in the huge array formation. Once the hole was blasted open, it wanted to recover. However, Lin Fei directly drilled in. As soon as he entered, he immediately stared at Lord Fong Tian. Weren't you pretty good at talking just now? Then eat my fist first. With a whoosh, everyone felt a chill run down their spines. His battle prowess had actually been directly beaten down, reduced by at least a few %. Even Divine Lord Fong Tian was the same. He was originally a 10-star warrior, but at this moment, he could only unleash a 9-star warrior's battle power. He would be missing a huge realm. This punch was like a stream of water that rushed over in an instant. With a loud rumbling sound, a figure was instantly hit and sent flying. The weaker ones directly turned into a pool of blood, while the stronger ones directly smashed into buildings, turning them into ruins. The great demon sects behind him also rushed in one after another. Seeing this scene, Divine Lord Feng Tian knew that it was over. If your sect has a half-step Eternal Realm expert, let him come out. I'll meet him. If not, then you guys are finished today. Don't you think so? Divine Lord Feng Tian also smashed into the ruins. From the exchange just now, he knew that the other party had cultivated the famous reincarnation array. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so injured. He immediately begged for mercy. Young master, please spare our lives. We are willing to hand over our sect. We are willing to hand over our sect. We are willing to lead the entire sect to surrender to the Great Void sect. Divine Lord Feng Tian knew how to choose. If he didn't choose now, he was afraid that all of them would be wiped out. Sorry, I'm not interested in you guys. Since you rejected my opportunity, you have to accept it. Whoosh. Divine Lord Feng Tian lost consciousness. The people watching from afar instantly felt their scalps go numb. Without another word, they ran. They knew that the boss of this area had finally changed, and that was the Great Void sect. The Great Void sect had returned. The great demon sects made their move, directly wiping out the experts of their sect. Of course, most of them were absorbed and refined by them. Lin Fei didn't stop them. They only had themselves to blame. Chapter 5209. Everything here had been cleaned up by Lin Fei. Then he took it out again. In less than half a month, the sect had been reborn, and the true Great Void sect had returned. The surrounding forces all came with congratulatory gifts without saying a word. One by one, they offered up their items. No one dared to say anything. Even the top powers and the weaker sects could not resist them, so they could not fight them at all. Some of the more timid ones even moved out directly. The strength of the Great Void sect fell into the eyes of many. They didn't know how strong this black-robed young man was, but he definitely wasn't weak. It was said that he alone could shake the phantom of a half-step Eternal Peace expert. A phantom couldn't compare to a true half-step Eternal Peace expert. But his combat strength was definitely not weak. Even a 10-star expert wouldn't be able to win in a short time. This black-robed young man was most likely a 10-star expert. He was already very strong, and he might become a half-step Eternal Peace expert one day. That way, he would be even stronger. When they thought that the Great Void sect was going to continue, they found that the Great Void sect had quieted down. They didn't make any big moves, as if they were ready to fight steadily. This made many people secretly sigh in relief. A secret realm Holy Land. Master, you must avenge your disciple. The Great Void sect went too far, destroying my sect just like that. If I hadn't received the message, I wouldn't have known. What right does the Great Void sect have to do this? Do they rely on a 10-star expert? In the vast sect, a figure was kneeling on the ground, and not far away sat a white-haired old man, quite at ease. This was the peak of a top sect, and this young man was a disciple of the heaven-shaking sect, the one with the most talent and the most potential. He was sent to a higher-level sect to cultivate, and this time, God Lord Luohan directly sent a message before he died. He told him not to return to the heaven-shaking sect, and not to easily think of revenge, unless one day he was strong enough to destroy the Great Void sect in one go. This was the son of God Lord Luohan. In front of him was his master. That was a senior elder of the sect. This status wasn't low. Therefore, he wanted to ask the high-level elders to help him vent his anger and suppress this Great Void sect. Was a 10-star warrior very powerful? In the eyes of their sect, they were not considered very strong. This was because there were 10-star powerhouses in their sect. There were as many as dozens of them, a truly huge lineup. There were even several experts at the half-step eternal realm. There was even an eternal level treasure. Was this lineup strong? Therefore, the first thing young Master Jade Void did was to seek help. He hoped that he could make a move and suppress the Great Void Sect. If it were anyone else, I wouldn't speak up for you. But it's just a small sect, and the Great Void Sect at that. It's true that they won't be able to do much. Besides, this person seems to have some confidence and has some cultivation methods. Go down there and bring him back for me. The old man's voice wasn't loud, but it was filled with supreme dignity. Young Master Jade Void was delighted. Thank you, Master. I will definitely bring her back. 2 streaks of light flew over. 2 streams of light landed on the side. When Prince Jade Void saw these 2 streams of light, he knew that they would definitely be able to suppress the Great Void Sect. These 2 were Master's eldest disciples. Both of them had cultivated to the 10-star level. Back then, young Master Jade Void was able to become Master's disciple because he was very talented. Now, he could be considered a 9-star warrior, but he was still a distance away from becoming a 10-star warrior. It wouldn't be difficult for him to become a 10-star warrior in the future. The 2 of you haven't fought in a long time. Follow your junior brother over there and bring back that person from the Great Void Sect. I want him alive, not dead. As for the rest, kill them all. The 2 of them cupped their hands. Master, we understand. Their voices were very cold. The 2 figures left one after the other. After they left, a figure walked out. So you will help your disciple vent his anger. You even sent 2 10-star experts. The person also sat down. That young man is quite capable. He brought so many monsters with him. This is a good thing. We can bring him back. Who asked him to destroy the heaven-shaking sect? This is a legitimate opportunity to make a move. Chapter 52:10. After taking this place, Lin Fei didn't do anything else. Instead, he allowed the entire Great Void Sect to take root here. Everything was basically done by Chu Qingqing. Chu Qingqing was the new sect leader of the Great Void Sect. That's right, she was the new sect leader. Originally, this position was supposed to be given to Lin Fei. However, Lin Fei wasn't interested in being a sect leader at all. He just wanted to get this Great Void Gate up, and when the time came, he would be able to complete the task. Therefore, this glorious responsibility was given to Chu Qingqing. Chu Qingqing herself was shocked. She couldn't believe that she could be a sect leader. With Lin Fei's words, she didn't say anything else. Therefore, she became the new sect leader of the Great Void Sect. She was a woman too. However, no one dared to doubt her strength. She was definitely the strongest. At this moment, Chu Qingqing's combat power could reach the level of a great perfection 9-star. Even if a 10-star expert were to take action, it would be very difficult for them to not gain an advantage over Chu Qingqing. There weren't many people in the Great Void Sect. Lin Fei was thinking about something else. That was how they could improve their strength. He couldn't just rely on himself and these monsters. He had to give them some hope. Therefore, over the past few days, Lin Fei had spent most of his time researching this reincarnation spirit. He wanted to see how he could make them cultivate quickly. Chu Qingqing's cultivation speed was indeed quite fast. However, this didn't satisfy Lin Fei. Half a month passed. Lin Fei didn't stop at all. Relying on his powerful divination abilities, he actually managed to deduce a simple cultivation method for the reincarnation spirit. Only Lin Fei could do something like this. After all, he had already cultivated 99 spirit. Was 99 essence souls powerful? Of course it was. He had the right to deduce this reincarnation spirit. After half a month, Lin Fei didn't have much free time. Today, he finally did it. My half a month of hard work has finally paid off. Looking at the primordial spirit cultivation technique that he had deduced, he heaved a long sigh of relief. He studied it over and over again, and after confirming that there were no problems, he called Chu Qingqing over. Chu Qingqing was also free. If it wasn't for Lin Fei's invitation, he wouldn't have dared to come over. He came over as soon as he received the notice. I see that the House of Great Void has been doing quite well lately. You're quite suited to be its leader. You can take this and let them cultivate. When you're strong enough, it'll be time to take you out to battle. Lin Fei passed the method he had calculated to Chu Qingqing. At the start, Chu Qingqing did not know what it was. It was only when she saw it that she came to a realization. She was completely shocked. This is the simplified version. It was very difficult to cultivate the reincarnation primordial spirit. So far, only a few people could cultivate 2 or 3 of them. It was rare for Chu Qingqing to be able to cultivate 5 of them, not to mention being able to use the reincarnation array. It was precisely because of the great reincarnation array that he was able to cut down a portion of his opponent's strength. He just didn't expect to come up with this simplified version so quickly. Chu Qingqing was incomparably excited. As long as they cultivated it, their strength would increase greatly. That's right, this is the simplified version. At most, you can cultivate to 999 primordial spirit. I hope that all of you can work hard. Even if it was the simplified version, it was still very powerful. As for how long it would take to cultivate to 999 primordial spirits, that would depend on time. At the very least, it wouldn't be something that could be cultivated in a short period of time. 100 would be considered a beginner, 500 would be considered very talented, and 800 would be considered monstrous. With such a method, it would be enough to raise the strength of the entire House of Great Void. However, you can only cultivate up to 99 for the time being, Lin Fei said. Chu Qingqing understood the reason. After all, if such a simplified primordial spirit were to spread outside, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. It would definitely cause a huge sensation, and many people would probably come to fight for it. Alright, I'll distribute it to them now and let them cultivate the simplified reincarnation primordial spirit. Chu Qingqing went down. As soon as she went down, Lin Fei's eyes started to sense auras. Someone came so quickly. Could it be those remnants? They even brought 2 experts with them. Interesting. Lin Fei could already sense 2 auras coming over. No, it should be 3 auras. However, one of them was slightly weaker. The other 2 were interesting. They were actually 10-star experts. Lin Fei walked out with a shake of his body. He didn't want to destroy the House of Great Void in a single exchange. Chapter 52:11. Jade Void had indeed brought people over. The first place he went to was the original site of the Heavenly Shaking Sect. That place was in ruins. Some things had been taken away. Not even a blade of grass was left. When a sect was destroyed, there would still be some valuable things. But now, all of them had been taken away by someone. Even a mouse would cry if it came. Seeing this, Jade Void hated the Great Void Sect even more. Of course, there was also the black-robed young man. If it were not for him, the Heavenly Shaking Sect would not have been wiped out overnight. After all, it was a member of a top force. Fortunately, his master had helped him this time, allowing him to bring 2 of his senior brothers here to vent his anger. Although he couldn't personally kill the black-robed young man, he could at least destroy the Great Void Sect once again. That would allow young Master Jade Void to breathe a sigh of relief. Jade Void was very sure of one thing. He had to become a 10-star expert as soon as possible. It would be even better if he could become a half-step eternal expert. No one would be able to threaten him anymore. He would even have to rebuild the Heavenly Shaking Sect. Senior brothers, up ahead is the new address of the School of Great Void. That black-robed youngster will definitely be there. I'll have to trouble you when the time comes. They would soon reach the Great Void Sect. Jade Void was full of murderous intent. There's no need to go. I'm already here. Whoosh. A cold light flashed across their bodies. Then, they felt a chill and saw a figure appear not far away from them. What followed was the touch of a large hand. As soon as this hand came down, it was like an entire world directly suppressing down. The two 10-star experts snorted coldly. You do have some ability to be able to sense us so quickly. However, your strength is not enough, you can't withstand our attacks. Two sword lights slashed out. But the sword lights shattered as soon as they got close to the palm. They had no effect at all. The palm moved. Clatter, clatter. For a 10-star powerhouse to have such a powerful opening move, it is indeed very powerful. However, the two of you are still somewhat useful to me. As for you, you're quite lacking. If I'm not mistaken, you should be the son of God Lord Luohan from the Heavenquaking Gate. You look quite similar, so you should go with him. A cold light flashed over. The cold light grew bigger and bigger. It landed on young Master Jade Void. This guy didn't even get a chance to make a sound before he was smashed into pieces. The two 10-star powerhouses were shocked. Their junior brother had been killed right under their noses. Although the 9 stars powerhouses didn't think much of it, they still felt very unhappy that junior brother had been killed right under their noses. It was equivalent to slapping them in the face. You dared to kill our junior brother in front of us. You'll have to come with us today. Their bodies immediately flickered with brilliant light and rumbled loudly, as if they were trying to resist the giant hand. The hand was getting bigger and bigger. With a loud bang, the two of them were slapped down. Mouthfuls of blood came gushing out. Cracks appeared on his powerful body, and he was seriously injured. It's just two 10-star experts. Unless a half-step Eternal Realm expert comes, they won't be of much use. That was all. The two of them didn't even make a sound before they were brought over. He brought them back to the Great Void School. From the beginning to the end, there wasn't much of a commotion. There wasn't even a sound. Lin Fei even used his strength to seal them completely, so that no news could spread. The only unlucky one was young Master Jade Void. Before he could take revenge, he was directly captured by Lin Fei with one hand. On the other hand, Chu Qingqing felt a little bit of movement. After all, she was the strongest in the Great Void School, so she didn't feel anything. At this time, the people of the Great Void School gathered together. Chu Qingqing took out a simplified cultivation method. Everyone is here. Today, I'll tell you something good. This is the simplified version of the reincarnation spirit cultivation method that I just obtained. It can temporarily cultivate up to 99 primordial spirit. Although 99 primordial spirits aren't as strong as the reincarnation spirit cultivation method, they still have 30% to 40% of the strength and can use the reincarnation array. They were indeed very happy. They were back here, but cultivation was still a headache for them. The more it was like this, the harder they cultivated. Now that they heard the words of the sect leader, they were all excited. Is this true, sect leader? And there's a simplified cultivation method? That's too awesome. 99 primordial spirits. If I can learn these 99 primordial spirits, my strength will definitely increase by leaps and bounds. These people were all excited. Who didn't know that the Great Void School had a top expert here? It was highly likely that the simplified version of the reincarnation spirit cultivation method was created by him. Yes, this is the simplified version of the reincarnation spirit cultivation method that the senior created. You can cultivate 99 primordial spirit. I hope you won't let me down. Chapter 52:12. The entire Great Void sect was training non-stop. With the simplified essence soul cultivation technique that Lin Fei had come up with, it was a huge improvement for them. If they didn't train, they wouldn't know how to use it. Once they started training, they realized that what used to be a difficult path was now very easy. It was like building a staircase one step at a time. Thus, the entire Great Void sect became very quiet. The formation that he had snatched previously could finally be put to use at this time. Once the formation was activated, the entire Great Void sect didn't move at all. Many people thought that the Great Void sect would soon show their ferocious side. Who would have thought that it would be so quiet? Not a single person would come out. Even the array formation had been activated. This was truly unbelievable to everyone. Since when did the Great Void Sect become so careful? Could it be that everyone was focused on training? If that was the case, it wouldn't be strange. After all, while the Great Void Sect was strong, only the black-robed youth and the demons were strong. Their true strength was still quite weak. If they met some powerful top powers, they might be able to make the Great Void Sect suffer. Of course, some people felt pressured. They hoped that the Great Void Sect would be unlucky. Thus, they hoped that someone would come and take care of them. While they were still weak, they waited and waited, but no one came. It was as if no one was willing to do anything to the Great Void Sect. Were they all hoping that the black-robed youth would come? But that was another matter altogether. At this time, Lin Fei had an important matter to attend to, which was to interrogate these two. These two fellows were also extremely strong, but if they really thought that they could put on airs just because they were 10-star powerhouses, they were definitely thinking too much. Thus, Lin Fei was prepared to interrogate them. He wanted to see what they knew. From their strength, he could tell that they weren't simple. If you talk nicely now, you can still live. Otherwise, I can only throw you to them. They like experts like you the most. Lin Fei sat in the courtyard. The courtyard was filled with rules. No one escaped. Outside the courtyard was a group of demons. At this time, their strength was indeed sealed. They could feel that the demons outside were all very strong. They finally knew how powerful the great demon beside the black-robed young man was. If those great Yaos were to join forces, even the two of them would not be a match for them. Yet, they had still foolishly come here. It was all because of a problem with their intelligence. Remember, you only have 10 breaths of time to consider. Whoever speaks first will live. Otherwise, you can only say that they are unlucky. Naturally, Lin Fei was only willing to ask one person. The other one was redundant. Even if you were a 10-star powerhouse, you'd better let us go. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble, because with a wave of Lin Fei's hand, the expert was thrown outside. Following which, Lin Fei's cold voice was heard. This 10-star powerhouse is yours. These words caused the man's face to instantly turn pale. He didn't expect that this black-robed young man would really dare to do this. Even if he wanted to struggle, it was useless. All he could see were the great demons surrounding him and laughing out loud. Speak, I'll speak. I'll tell you everything. I'm from the War God Sect. The one you killed is young Master Jade Void. He's from the Heaven Shaking Sect. Lin Fei looked at him with a smile. That's right. Don't just keep quiet. Right now your life is in my hands. If I want you to live, you'll live. If I want you to die, you'll die. It's that simple. Lin didn't expect that this young man would be so cruel as to throw the other one out. He could even hear the screams. Just thinking about it made him break out in cold sweat and his scalp go numb. The War God Sect is ranked in the top 30 of the top factions. No wonder there are 2 experts here. When Lin Fei saw the 2 of them, he knew that they were from the same sect. He didn't expect them to be from the top faction, the War God Sect. Lin Fei had some understanding of this sect. They cultivated the legendary War God technique, and were extremely powerful. Ordinary people wouldn't be a match for them. It was said that they had an old ancestor, the so-called Old War God. His combat strength was exceptionally strong. It was said that he had reached the eternal level. It was just that he hadn't shown his face for 1,000 years. When he made his move, it was 3,000 years ago. With a single move, he killed more than 10 half-step eternal experts and resolved the danger. Tell me everything you know. Speak slowly. Don't be anxious. If I have any doubts, you can accompany your companion. Chapter 52:13. Just like that, this guy said everything clearly and didn't hide anything at all. No one knew better than him that if he said something wrong, he would be completely finished. It was not easy to cultivate to this level, so he naturally did not want to die easily. let alone fall into the hands of those great demons. That would be a terrible nightmare. Lord, that's all I know. I've told you everything I said. Please let me go. I really came here with orders. I didn't mean to deal with you. I'm just an errand boy. As long as you let me go, I'll never return to the War God's sect. The man in front of him was too cruel and terrifying. At such a young age, his combat power had suddenly suppressed the two of them. Even now, he hated young Master Jade Void to death. This guy really had a problem with his brain. He had made an enemy of such a strong person, but he thought it was a good thing. He thought he could bring back some credit, but in the end, he found out that this was a dragon's pool and tiger's den. Even 10 of him would be sent to his death. Are you sure you have said it clearly? I will give you 10 breaths of time to think about it, then talk to me again. Lin Fei also digested all this information. The War God sect was indeed very strong. Their current lineup was very large, with more than 110-star experts, not to mention more than a dozen half-step Eternal Realm experts. There was also the real old ancestor. This lineup was really strong. If the previous War God sect and the current War God sect were said to be easy to deal with, then the current War God sect was different. However, things were different for the sect of War God. They were the big shots. Being able to be in the top 30, they were naturally different. But this time, they came to take him back, so Lin Fei knew what was going on. Looks like these fellows are quite calculative. If they aren't after the reincarnation cultivation technique in their hands, then they are after the group of great monsters outside. 10 breaths of time was not long, nor was it slow. But for him, it was full of endless terror. Did he miss some information again? He kept thinking, and finally, he seemed to have found a clue. I know one more thing, but I can't confirm whether it is true or not. Lin An immediately said. He didn't want to be killed because of a small matter. He also didn't know how much this person knew about the War God sect. Now that he thought of such a possibility, he naturally didn't dare to hide it anymore, so he said it first. I heard that it won't be long before people from high-ranked worlds descend and form an alliance with our sect of War God. After they descend, our sect of War God's strength will suddenly increase. It seems that it's not just our sect of War God. It's the same for other sections. It seems like people from the outside have joined in. This news made Lin Fei feel quite surprised. This side of the universe was indeed quite powerful, but he did not expect that someone from a higher realm would actually descend here. Lin Fei more or less understood how strong the people in the advanced worlds were. He could only say that they were definitely above this world. They definitely have more eternal-level powerhouses on their side. Not bad. Looks like you didn't hide anything. You can leave now. Lin Fei waved his hand. Linen was thrown to the ground. He came out just like that. Linen was taken aback for a moment. It seemed like he had finally recovered. Even his strength had returned to normal. But in the next second, many great monsters surrounded him. Even if he was a 10-star powerhouse, he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Since His Excellency said that he would let you go, he naturally let you go. However, we didn't agree. You should escape from our hands first. A group of great monsters directly surrounded him. Lin and directly fell into an endless battle. Lin Fei narrowed his eyes and ignored what was happening outside. These two actually came from the War God sect. In that case, Lin Fei wouldn't let them go so easily. It would be best to give them to Samsara and the others. There should be some changes in this side of the universe. Even people from high-ranked worlds have sent people over. Could it be that this universe's horizon has become a center? Lin Fei frowned slightly. He couldn't think of anything for a moment. No matter what, this wasn't a good thing. On the contrary, it was a bad thing. The current strength of the Great Void sect wasn't very strong. This mission had a long way to go. Then I'll just sign in slowly. Lin Fei was quite relaxed. He could sign in and obtain some immortal energy to strengthen his body. This way, Even if an eternal level powerhouse came over, he wouldn't care much. Chapter 52:14. The elder of the sect of War God was also waiting for the situation. In the end, the disciples who went didn't return. Instead, they received bad news. The life spheres left by the two of them were actually shattered. The elder's expression changed slightly. It seems that I still underestimated this young man from the Great Void sect. He is indeed quite strong. Even my two disciples are no match for him. It seems that they should all be on their way. The elder was indeed quite surprised to receive such news. Those two disciples were both 10-star existences. He didn't expect that they would all be on their way, let alone young Master Jade Void. It was indeed a pity. This also made the elder remember the Great Void sect and that young man. He didn't plan to let his disciples go again. Even two 10-star powerhouses couldn't catch that kid. It seemed that he was quite strong. Unless he did it himself. However, elders like him rarely left the sect. Not to mention that there was still a big matter at hand. Lin Fei thought that the sect of War God would arrange for powerhouses to take revenge, but it turned out that he had overestimated them. In other words, the people over there were still relatively cautious. Even the entire sect of War God might not know of such a thing. It was probably young Master Jade Void's master acting in private. That was more likely. Lin Fei entered a slow sign-in period again. This sign-in period lasted for more than half a year. He needed peace and quiet during this half a year. This also made the people around him heave a sigh of relief. In other words, there wouldn't be any commotion. Not to mention the other forces. It's a pity that I haven't received anything in the past half a year. Chu Qingqing and the others have cultivated quite quickly. Each of them has cultivated dozens of primordial spirits, especially Chu Qingqing, who has cultivated 99 primordial spirit. In addition to the 5 from before, she has 104 primordial spirits in total. Sitting in the courtyard, Lin Fei signed in again. Signing in was lonely. There wasn't anything good. The amount of immortal energy he received from signing in also began to decrease. He couldn't sign in every 2 or 3 days. Lin Fei's body had already reached the eternal level, but the immortal energy wasn't of much use to him. It could be said that it had almost reached its limit. It was still somewhat different from what Lin Fei had imagined. Looks like I have to find another place to sign in. Lin Fei had originally planned to sign in at the Great Void sect for 8 to 10 years. But now, it seemed that signing in at the Great Void sect would not yield anything good. Or was it that his territory was too small? What use does Lin Fei have for this check-in system? He only knew a little. He knew some unfamiliar places, dangerous places, or places with great origins where he could sign in and obtain some good stuff. As for how many good things he could get in the sect, it was unknown. Lin Fei was not stupid. After pondering for a while, he understood some of the logic. If he wanted to sign in at the Great Void sect, especially the good stuff, then Lin Fei would have to expand the Great Void sect. In that case, he should be able to sign in something good. This was what Lin Fei had in the past, but he was just too lazy to do it. Now, things were a little different. He could confirm it. He immediately called Chu Qingqing over. Now that Chu Qingqing already had the appearance of the Great Void sect master, she had matured a lot. However, when he saw Lin Fei, a smile finally appeared on his face. He was no longer wearing a poker face. Your cultivation speed is quite fast. You just successfully cultivated the 99 primordial spirits on the first level, and you're already cultivating the second level. The one who cultivated the fastest was Chu Qingqing. Of course, she was also the one with the fastest potential. Lin Fei was also sincerely happy. At the very least, he had a candidate to oversee the sect. The old ancestors' things are still the best. Now, everyone in the sect is very united in their cultivation. In a year's time, the strength of the Great Void sect had undergone an earth-shattering change. Since you said so, then there's something you guys can do. In more than half a year, everyone's cultivation has been quite fast. You can go and take over the surrounding places and expand the Great Void Sect's territory. After all, it's not good to have these neighbors around. Chu Qingqing was slightly taken aback. These words surprised her. It had already been half a year, but the old ancestor actually wanted them to take action. Originally, Lin Fei did not intend to be the old ancestor, but this was a problem, so he reluctantly became the old ancestor. Old ancestor, can we finally make a move? They are indeed preparing to go out to train, but they always feel that their cultivation is not good enough. It would be best if it's at their doorstep. Chu Qingqing also had some thoughts. Chapter 52:15. Right now, they were just trying to see what would happen. Lin Fei couldn't guarantee anything, but deep down, he felt that the chances were high. There was a 70 to 80% chance. After getting Lin Fei's approval, Chu Qingqing immediately announced the news. For the people of the Great Void Sect, they had been holding back a lot of anger over the past 6 months. Each of them had cultivated dozens of primordial spirit. Some of them had even cultivated 90 primordial spirit. Of course, the higher they went, the more difficult it became. Most of them had 50 to 60 primordial spirit. This was already quite a strong lineup. Adding on the fact that they were in the reincarnation formation, their strength was greatly increased. No one at the same level could beat them. Therefore, after getting the approval of their ancestor, Lin Fei, they immediately took action. They're out. They're out. The Great Void Sect is out. Who can tell me what's going on? Why are they all out at once? Hurry up and tell the elders that the situation has changed. The Great Void Sect is out. Are they going to wipe out all the surrounding factions? Many of them felt their hearts clench. But before they could do anything, they were taken down. Chu Qingqing led her people in a thunderous attack. This time, Samsara and the others didn't do anything. It was just Chu Qingqing and the others. For the surrounding factions, it was true that they were on tenterhooks every day. The fact that the Great Void Sect didn't do anything made them feel more and more pressured. Who would have thought that this day would come without any warning? The people of the Great Void Sect had come knocking on their door. At first, they hadn't paid much attention. As long as the black-robed man hadn't shown up, they would have been able to hold on. But after they started fighting, they realized what was truly terrifying. The experts of the Great Void Sect all unleashed their primordial spirits, each with dozens of them. By activating the Great Reincarnation Array, they were able to suppress their strength. When they clashed again, they weren't a match at all. In a one-sided situation, no one could stop them. Forget about that primordial spirit. The current Great Void Sect Master had cultivated over 100 reincarnated primordial spirit. They were even stronger than they were. Even the leader of the Great Void Sect wasn't a match for them. Lin Fei watched quietly. Wherever they went, no one could stop them. Even the strongest was not Chu Qingqing's match. Just like that, all the sects and factions within a radius of a few 100,000 miles were taken down. As for how to deal with them, that was Chu Qingqing's problem. Lin Fei did not care too much about this. He only wanted an effect. Ding. Sign-in successful. Eternal Treasure Fragment 1. Today's sign-in was finally different. At the very least, he managed to sign in for a fragment of the Eternal Protection. One had to know that after so long, Lin Fei had never signed in for anything decent. It could be seen that his guess should be right. His heart was even clearer now. He had only moved a little, and the rewards for signing in had changed a lot. Today was only the first day. Perhaps it was luck, or perhaps it was a coincidence. He had to wait a little longer. Signing in lasted for another month. In this month, the rewards had indeed changed a lot. They were much better than before. Of course, he also signed in for a few eternal shards. So far, he had signed in for 3 eternal shards. He was still a distance away from 10 eternal shards. This also confirmed one thing for Lin Fei. That was, the Great Void Sect's territory had expanded. His rewards for signing in had also increased to a certain extent. The probability of him signing in had also increased. This was a good thing. After Chu Qingqing defeated all the sects and factions within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles, she did not make a move again. Of course, for the Great Void Sect, the scope of their activities had also increased. Lin Fei gave Chu Qingqing another mission, which was to continue taking in the surrounding factions. After taking in these factions, the overall strength of the Great Void Sect had indeed become much stronger. Especially after taking out the simplified version of the reincarnation primordial spirit, these people were all willing to join. Of course, it was not that easy to cultivate the reincarnation primordial spirit. It required contribution points, but no matter what, it was still a huge attraction to them. After Chu Qingqing accepted the old ancestor's words, she once again began to expand the Great Void Sect. This time, the expansion began steadily. First, it expanded from hundreds of thousands of miles to 2 million miles. Then, it expanded from 2 million miles to 5 million miles, and finally stopped when it reached 10 million miles. It was still better to expand steadily. Otherwise, it could reach tens of millions of miles. Unlike the huge sects that covered billions of miles or even millions of miles, the Great Void Sect could be said to be very powerful. Compared to them, the Great Void Sect was indeed much weaker. There was still a long way to go. Chapter 52:16. The commotion caused by the Great Void Gate had truly shocked many people. Ever since they destroyed the Heavenshaker sect and another sect and snatched back the Spirit Vein, they finally made their move after half a year of silence. As soon as they made their move, everyone could feel their strength. Especially the experts of the Great Void Sect, all of them used their primordial spirit formation. If not for this primordial spirit formation, they naturally wouldn't be much of a threat. But now that they used it, almost no one in the same realm could defeat them. Initially, no one really thought much of the Great Void Sect. At a time like this, even if the Great Void Sect took back their headquarters, they would only be a second-rate power, not even a first-rate one. The path to rise was still long. From the recent movements, their combat strength was very strong, almost reaching the first-rate level. They weren't at the top, but they still made many sects feel pressured. It wouldn't be easy to deal with the Great Void Sect. Most importantly, they still hadn't figured out the identity of that black-robed young man. Some said that he was the old ancestor of the Great Void Sect, while others said that he was a good friend of the Great Void Sect who came to help. Otherwise, why would he bring so many monsters? No matter what, the Great Void Sect immediately became famous. At the same time, everyone felt that the Great Void Sect was different. The biggest beneficiary of the expansion of the Great Void Sect was Lin Fei. The things he signed in also became more comprehensive, which was quite surprising. This sign-in session lasted for an entire year. In this year, he didn't make much movement. Most of the time, they were cultivating the reincarnation primordial spirit. The fastest was none other than Chu Qingqing. She had already cultivated the second stage, and the first stage was almost completed. Soon, she would enter the second stage. Lin Fei was quite satisfied with the current progress. He wanted to make the Great Void Sect stronger. He estimated that it would take a long time. At least a few hundred years, at most a few thousand years. The benefits of signing in began to decrease again, and Lin Fei started to have a headache again. Chu Qingqing finally came in with the information. Old ancestor, this is the information I collected. These are all some special places. Take a look first, if there's nothing else, I'll look for it again. Ever since Lin Fei found out that the good stuff he could sign in with the Great Void Sect was slowly decreasing, he knew that it would be difficult for him to continue signing in with them. Fortunately, no one from the Great Void Sect came to cause trouble. Anyone who had any ideas was directly suppressed. Those first-rate forces wouldn't dare to make a move for the time being. They hadn't figured out Lin Fei's background. As long as they didn't, they wouldn't dare to make a move. It was that simple. Lin Fei prepared to go somewhere else to sign in. Even if Lin Fei left the Great Void Sect, there was nothing to worry about. Now that he could burst out with eternal-level fighting prowess, he would naturally have some tricks up his sleeves. Thus, he asked Chu Qingqing to collect information on those special places and send it over once she collected it. This wait lasted for almost half a month. Fortunately, Lin Fei was not in a hurry. Today, Chu Qingqing finally sent the information over. Chu Qingqing did not know what the old ancestor wanted these special places for, but she knew that they might be of great use. Are they preparing for us to go to these places to train? These places were quite dangerous, and Chu Qingqing was confident that they could survive. However, if they really went there, it would be a little different. Right now, your strength is still too weak. When each of you has cultivated at least 500 primordial spirits, that would be enough. For now, your mission is to keep cultivating and cultivating. Lin Fei's goal was quite simple. After all, this was a long-term mission, not a short-term one. Chu Qingqing knew that she was thinking too much. Old ancestor, I have an idea here. Our Great Void Sect still lacks a powerful treasure, and that is a treasure related to time. If we can obtain one, then we will be able to cultivate this reincarnation primordial spirit even faster. Previously, Chu Qingqing was about to say it. She had never had free time. Finally, she had the time to talk to the old ancestor. This matter was quite important to Chu Qingqing. Lin Fei was slightly taken aback. How could he have forgotten such an important thing? Cultivating the reincarnation primordial spirit was different from other cultivation methods. It could be considered a relatively quick process. If there was a treasure related to time, then it would naturally be different. Then do you know where there is a treasure related to time? I will go and get one. At the very least, it will speed up your reincarnation primordial spirit. Lin Fei also had an idea. He had not considered this before. If there was a treasure related to time, then it would be different. It would allow their cultivation time to become more efficient. Even if it was Chu Qingqing, if she had a treasure related to time, as long as she had enough time, she would be able to cultivate a few hundred or even 1,000 primordial spirits. Although it would not be comparable to a true reincarnation primordial spirit. Chapter 52:17. Originally, Lin Fei was going to find a place to sign in first. But now it seemed that there was still one more important thing. That was to make the sect stronger. How to make it stronger? Of course, he was counting on this accelerated version of the reincarnation primordial spirit. As long as they grew up, it would be easy. At that time, a person could have 500 or 600 primordial spirits, or even 1,000 primordial spirits. Then their combat power would be at the 10-star level. Even a half-step Eternal Realm expert would suffer a great loss. Half-step Eternal Realm experts, Lin Fei also knew to what extent their strength had reached. A 10-star expert was indeed no match for them, but with the reincarnation primordial spirit array, it would be different. It would suppress the other party's strength. This was why an primordial spirit expert had always been a lot stronger than others. The more primordial spirits there were, coupled with some primordial spirit secret methods, their combat power would become stronger and stronger. Chu Qingqing finally breathed a sigh of relief. I did get some news. I heard that a top-grade time treasure will appear in an auction soon. Chu Qingqing took out a piece of information and handed it to the old ancestor. Lin Fei took the information and quickly read it. You don't say, it's indeed a top-notch auction house that's going to happen soon. There was a time treasure to be auctioned in the World Tower. Time treasures were quite old, and the competition was very fierce. There were also strong and weak time treasures. For example, 1 year was equivalent to a few decades of time, which was quite good. Compared to those that were equivalent to 100 or 200 or 300 years of time, this was the most terrifying. Time treasures like this were rarely placed outside. But this time, it seemed to be a little different. A time treasure could be equivalent to 1,000 years of time. It could be said to be terrifying and heaven-defying. After reading the information, Lin Fei made up his mind to get this time treasure back. Then I'll go out and have a look. You keep an eye on the Great Void Sect and don't act for a while. Come back later and I'll give you a few things. Lin Fei did not plan to bring anyone with him. He knew better than anyone that if he brought Samsara, they would not have much chance of winning, and it would be easy to arouse suspicion. Now that he was going out alone, it was different. However, before he went out, he still had to prepare something for them. After half an afternoon, Lin Fei finally managed to create a seal. Each seal contained a strand of his power. With this power, he would be able to instantly explode forth with an extremely powerful might that could sweep through the surroundings. Lin Fei had left behind a total of 3 such powers. Just one portion was enough to make them understand how terrifying it was. Chu Qingqing came in the evening. Lin Fei passed the 3 seals to her. This is a seal that I made for you. Inside it is a strand of my power. Each seal can release a strand of power. When the time comes, as long as you can't beat them, you can use the power of the seal to kill them in an instant. Chu Qingqing kept the seal. Old ancestor, I know. I will open the formation too. No one should come over. It has been peaceful recently. Calm is calm, but undercurrents are surging. You have to know this. So, as soon as I leave, they will make their move, although the possibility of that is not very high. Lin Fei still reminded her. He didn't want the Great Void Sect that he worked so hard to create to be wiped out. When that happened, it would be a waste. It wasn't easy for him to get this long-term mission to this point. It could be considered a start, and the rest was to slowly develop. Lin Fei had plenty of time, but it wouldn't be so easy to find another Great Void Sect. Nightfall. Lin Fei silently left the Great Void Sect. He headed towards the World Tower. He was prepared to understand the situation. If there really was such a treasure, then he would have to act. He knew that some top powers would come to fight for it. It wasn't like he was playing house. The chances of him being able to buy it were low. Although he had a certain amount of wealth, compared to those sects, he was far from it. The moment he left, person walked out from the void. His body was faintly discernible, like it was transparent and didn't exist anymore. I finally protected this fellow and left. I didn't expect him to leave. He stayed in the Great Void Sect for close to 2 years and didn't move at all. I was nearly tricked away. This was a stalking expert. Someone paid a high price to hire him. He stared for 2 years and didn't even reveal any traces. He had a powerful top-notch treasure in his possession that could fuse him with space, making it impossible for anyone to detect him. This was a pseudo-eternal level treasure that he had obtained by chance. That was why he had become the most powerful stalker. But I still have to wait. Chapter 52:18. The Black Devil Shadow waited for 3 days. During these 3 days, he didn't see the so-called black-robed young man return. There was no movement at all. It was the same for the Great Void Sect. No one came out. It was really quiet. This made the Black Devil Shadow feel more at ease. He finally confirmed one thing, which was that the black-robed young man went out to do something. He wouldn't be back for a while. With that, it was enough. He would report the news to them right away. Not long later, a black shadow came to this side, all the way to the Great Void Gate. Are you sure that the black-robed young man really left? You didn't trick me. We haven't found out where that kid came from, and his strength is really mysterious. Don't drag us all down. This person was also dressed in a black robe, but he seemed really mysterious. Of course, he was more nervous and excited. They had been watching the Great Void Sect for a long time, and they finally waited until the black-robed young man was gone. Are you sure he left? You know how good I am at keeping an eye on people. If I say he didn't come back, then he didn't. My professionalism is here, and I won't take your money for nothing. The Black Devil Shadow's face sank, and he was a little annoyed. They were famous for being trustworthy. To say that he wasn't here meant to be doubting his own abilities. Wasn't that just ruining his reputation? You also know that we pay a lot of attention to this matter. Of course, we believe in your credibility. Otherwise, we wouldn't have spent so much money on you. It's fine as long as he's not here. By the way, are those big demons still here? Did they go out with you? Those guys are not easy to deal with. I didn't. Only the black-robed young man left by himself. You know I never go in. Anyway, the black-robed young man isn't here. According to my estimation, he won't be back for at least half a month. After asking a few more questions, the Black Devil Shadow left quietly. He had completed his mission. He accepted a sum. The black-robed young man took out his treasure and sent a message over. This wait lasted for more than half a day. One figure after another came to this side. They were the infamous Vagabond Band. This wandering team was completely different from other adventurer teams. Their favorite thing to do was to invade various sects and snatch their things. And this time, they had their eyes on the Great Void Gate. They had received news that the Great Void sect seemed to have a powerful primordial spirit cultivation technique. It was the type that could be mastered quickly, and if they could get their hands on it, they could sell it for a high price. This time they came. Of course, there were also great demons here. These were also valuable goods. If he could get rid of them, he would be able to collect a sum of money. That black-robed young man was here. But now that the black-robed young man wasn't here, they naturally had the ability to do so. The strongest member of their group was a 10-star warrior. There were 3 of them. However, the 3 of them were different. They were definitely the most ferocious ones. This was why they looked down on the sect of Great Void. Without the black-robed young man, they could do whatever they wanted. However, the other party was mysterious and unfathomable, so it wasn't worth it. Moreover, there were still many spectators. They didn't want to be cannon fodder. Now it was all right, he had finally left. Then let's take action. Use our methods and end this quickly. We'll catch him off guard before he returns. Someone already said that once we get our hands on this primordial spirit cultivation technique, we'll be able to get a high price. They have money. As long as we can get our hands on it, it's fine. Everyone laughed along with him. Attack. Whoosh. They finally made their move. A huge palm landed directly on the sky above the sect of Great Void. This move. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, the formation emerged and blocked the attack. Ever since the sect of Great Void had caused such a huge commotion, many people had secretly arranged for people to keep an eye on them. Everyone wanted to know what they were going to do. They didn't expect that someone would make a move first. This move made them feel that this person was extremely powerful. At the very least, he had the combat power of a 10-star warrior. This was the tempo of a fight with the sect of Great Void. Hurry and inform the sect leader. Something big is happening here. The black-robed young man isn't here. A 10-star warrior is attacking. I wonder if he can handle it. Perhaps this is our chance to fish in troubled waters. Chapter 52:19. There was a loud rumble. The Great Void Gates formation took the brunt of the attack. Another wave of attacks followed. It was an attack from a treasure. It was menacing. The entire Great Void sect was shocked once again. Chu Qingqing was the first to rush out. When he saw the people fighting outside, he immediately knew who they were. They were from the Wandering Team. He wondered which adventurer team had dared to make a move at such a time. The Patriarch was right. Someone must be watching the Patriarch. They attacked as soon as he left. These guys are really ruthless. Chu Qingqing's face was also filled with anger. These fellows came at any other time, but they actually came at this time. They were simply courting death. Samsara and the rest arrived immediately. Let's go out and kill them first. So what if they are 10-star warriors? Samsara did not care. Or we should open the array and let them in. I think there are still some people watching in the dark. They will attack together. They can't wait for this opportunity. Monsters like them were extremely powerful. Even if there were 10-star experts, they would not be able to defeat them. If they joined forces, even a 10-star powerhouse would have to step aside. Therefore, they were naturally eager to have a fierce battle. In the past, they did not attack. It was Chu Qingqing and the rest who attacked. Now it was finally time for them to act. These people don't know what's good for them. Please go out and fight with them first. Lure them out. That way we can catch them all in one fell swoop. Chu Qingqing's gaze turned cold. Samsara and the rest flew out instantly. As soon as they came out, they revealed their huge bodies, and each of them occupied a large space. The deafening rumble directly pressed down on the members of the wandering groups, making them feel immense pressure. At the very least, the 3 10-star warriors were held back. Trash like you dare to attack the Great Void Sect? If I don't kill you today, I'll be ashamed to call myself Samsara. In a short period of time, Samsara's strength had increased tremendously. One Samsara skill was enough to make the 3 10-star warriors feel pressured. Their strength had dropped significantly. In addition, they were surrounded by a group of demons. They were in a sorry state. Aren't you guys embarrassed to not come out? They had indeed underestimated the power of these great demons. At this time, they had to hope that they would come out. Once he came out, he would be able to put some pressure on them. So the 3 of you are also unlucky. However, I'll let you restrain them first. Moreover, without these great demons, we can properly deal with Chu Qingqing. A figure walked out from the void. 2 experts followed behind him. He was in the same realm as them. He released a gigantic ancient bell and trapped them inside. No matter how Samsara and the others attacked, they couldn't escape for a while. Chu Qingqing immediately stared at this person. He had seen this treasure just now, and it was very likely to be a half-step eternal treasure. Only then could it trap Samsara and the others. Samsara was very strong. Chu Qingqing was very clear on this. If they were to fight, even 3 10-star experts would not be their opponents. As time went on, they would be defeated. She hadn't expected to fall into someone else's trap. God Lord Black Death, you bastard! You actually schemed against us. You better not have a good end. Chu Qingqing isn't that easy to deal with. I curse you to be unlucky. The person inside roared. God Lord Black Death disapprovingly stared at the nearby Chu Qingqing. I've heard that the Great Void Sect has a powerful primordial spirit cultivation method. If you don't want to be caught by me, you'd better hand it over. Otherwise, you won't be able to withstand my attack. You should be able to see my strength. I'm stronger than you, stronger than them. God Lord Black Death stared at Chu Qingqing. If you don't know your place, I'll just kill you. When the time comes, the entire Great Void Gate will be wiped out. You can try and see if you can destroy my Great Void School. You want me to hand over my primordial spirit cultivation technique? That's impossible. There's only a Chu Qingqing who dies in battle, not a coward. Whoosh! A primordial spirit walked out from behind Chu Qingqing and transformed into a grand array. Chapter 52:20. One primordial spirit after another walked out from behind Chu Qingqing. On the spot, everyone felt what it meant to be shocked. No one had expected this person to cultivate so many primordial spirits in such a short time. Several hundred primordial spirits had come out at once, and when they formed a grand formation, everyone felt pressured. No wonder the Great Void Sect had moved so quickly. They really did have a primordial spirit cultivation technique, and the power of this technique wasn't that bad. God Lord Black Death had also seen it all clearly. His expression brightened. He had guessed correctly. Your Great Void Sect has a brand new cultivation technique. No wonder you're so fast. Let me see just how strong this primordial spirit cultivation technique of yours is. God Lord Black Death thrust out a palm. This palm turned into an ice divine dragon. It turned out that he was an ice elemental cultivator. He lunged into the primordial spirit formation. This was Chu Qingqing's first time fighting such a powerful person. She was already very strong, but God Lord Black Death's attack was enough to make her feel pressured. There was a huge rumble as all the primordial spirits exerted their power. She suppressed this technique, but Chu Qingqing knew that it wouldn't give her much of an advantage. The other party's strength was much stronger than hers. The samsara primordial spirits weren't true samsara primordial spirits, so they naturally weren't that strong. These primordial spirits only had half the battle prowess of a real reincarnated primordial spirit. It couldn't be compared to a true reincarnated primordial spirit, but for them, it could greatly increase their strength in a short period of time. That Chu Qingqing is so strong. She was able to endure it just like that. The samsara primordial spirit really is too fierce. No, even the simplified version is still powerful. I finally know what that kid cultivates. He should be cultivating the most authentic samsara primordial spirit. No wonder he's so strong. If they're already so strong, I don't even dare to imagine what they'll become if they continue cultivating. The Great Void sect will only get stronger and stronger. God Lord Black Death rather admired Chu Qingqing. She had actually managed to endure one of his attacks. You're very strong. No wonder your Great Void sect is rising. It's not bad that you can block one of my attacks, but you won't be able to block this one. God Lord Black Death unleashed another attack. This move was much more powerful. It directly summoned a field of ice, which was also known as hail. Huge hailstones came crashing down. Even though Chu Qingqing had a lot of primordial spirits, she felt somewhat helpless at this moment because the might of these hailstones was too great. Every single one of them was infused with his will. There was a loud rumbling sound. Chu Qingqing immediately vomited blood. The difference between them was huge. The other party was a true great perfection of the 10 stars realm, and he was even half a step away from it. If I let you train for a few more decades, I definitely won't be a match for you. But right now, you really can't. What other experts does the Great Void sect have? If not, then I'm going to take their reincarnation technique. He rejoiced even more that he had come at the right time. He would definitely be able to get his hands on it. Wow. Chu Qingqing spat out a mouthful of blood. Her expression was somewhat unsightly. The other party was really strong. Yes, you want the method to reincarnate a primordial spirit? That's not a problem. However, there are so many people here. Who should I give it to? You'll have to ask them first. Chu Qingqing clenched her teeth. God Lord Black Death heartily laughed. A little clever, but do you really think those people will come out? I'm definitely going to take this primordial spirit reincarnation technique. Even if they're not satisfied, they can fight with me and see who's stronger. Whoosh. A figure walked out of the void. God Lord Black Death, I feel like he's right. Did you ask me if you wanted this primordial spirit technique? Yet another black-robed voice walked out. His entire body exuded a mysterious aura. His aura was on par with God Lord Black Death. This meant that he was also a peak 10-star expert. Even a half-step expert could reach this level. To be able to cause such a huge commotion, there were naturally countless people paying attention to it. Now that they saw Chu Qingqing's primordial spirit technique, they realized that if they could take this technique back and let others cultivate it, their overall strength would be greatly boosted. Thus, they could no longer hold back. If they didn't act now, God Lord Black Death would get it first. One by one, they walked out. God Lord Black Death's face slowly darkened. He had truly underestimated these people. Quite a few people had come to watch the show, and quite a few had dared to act. Are you sure you want to steal this technique from me? Do you think that you can beat me?